Hello and welcome to your annual reading. My name is Alexa. Today I'm doing a reading for the entire year of 2026. The purpose and intention with this reading, as with every year, is to provide guidance or some kind of perspective or outlook that might be helpful for you throughout this year. It's something that you can come back to at any point in the year if you're feeling stuck or if you just want some reassurance that you're on the right path for you. It is unfortunately a little bit later in January than I would have hoped to have been recording this. Normally I try to do it in December, but I was very sick for the last month, so I am just now able to do this reading. For those of you who are not familiar with my readings, my recommendation is to listen to your big three as well as your North Node if you know what those are. If you are like, girl, I have no idea what the F you're talking about, I will put information below on how to find these things. You can also shoot me a message and I will help guide you through that process. You can use a site like Astrodynes, which is my personal favorite, and you just plug in your birth information and it'll spit out a chart. Your big three are your sun, your moon, and your rising. And then your North Node, which is also listed as your true node, is another good reference point. And if you want to listen to the whole reading all the way through, great, have at it. It's gonna be a long day for you. For every single zodiac sign, I pulled from two different decks. I pulled from the Starseed Oracle deck for our Oracle. That was so dramatic. And I also pulled from my Cat Tarot deck. Finally, if you know someone who might resonate with this, that might find this helpful, please feel free to send it to them. I do offer cacao ceremonies. I offer them virtually as well, and I'm happy to do these privately for small groups. So if it's something that you and a bunch of other people feel like this is something I really need, shoot me a message. Now, without further ado, let's get into the reading. Starting out with Aries. My dear Aries, for the year of 2026. From the Oracle deck, I pulled Deep Cellular Healing, kind of a dead giveaway as to what is to come here. And I also pulled for you in the reverse, the Eight of Swords. Again, this deck is hysterical and adorable. You have a cat wrapped up in toilet paper. What? Nothing gets better than that. Okay, I'm gonna start out with Tarot, actually, for this one. Usually I start with Oracle, but hey, we're gonna start out with Tarot and then move into Oracle. So, my dear Aries, this card, Eight of Swords, implies that you, in the reverse at least, might find yourself in situations where you're feeling a little bit wrapped up. Maybe you're wrapped up in your head. Maybe you're wrapped up in a situation. Maybe you're feeling blocked. Maybe you're feeling stuck. Again, what I opened with in saying if you feel blocked or stuck, feel free to come back to this reading. If you are coming back to this reading now, welcome back. Happy to have you. This might be a theme for you, or this might be something that you are coming out of. Maybe 2025 was a really challenging year for you, or really sticky year for you, or even, I want to say for some of you, like the decade leading into this. Again, for everyone it's different, but the general energy of what a lot of you are going to be dealing with is unraveling these things that feel like they might be constraining you or holding you in a position or a role that doesn't really feel like it fits you or doesn't really feel like it fits your life anymore. I will say that this card does not mean you have to quit everything, change everything, burn your entire life down. If you want to do it, have at it, go for it. I support that. But it does mean that there is some kind of a change or a shift that might be helpful, and this may just be a shift in perspective. If you think about this, a cat wrapped up in toilet paper, freaking out, trying to like bite his way out. If a cat is squirming, a lot of times it's because they feel in their body or they think like, I am constrained, I am restricted. Their cats are strong and toilet paper is not, it's flimsy. So it's possible that they're wrapped up in something that either isn't supporting them and doesn't feel like it has enough strength, or they're wrapped up in a situation where they don't feel like they have enough strength. Either way, I feel like Aries, this is an energy that you might be familiar with, or you might have opportunities to look at. Not to say that this upcoming year is going to be shitty, because it's very much not. Again, with the Deep Cellular Healing card, there's a lot of beauty on its way to you and or already arriving to you. But with the Eight of Swords in reverse, a lot of the theme that we're looking at is this level of release, sweet release, releasing these things that feel like they're holding us. Something has been holding on to you, and it feels like that is kind of loosening its grip or loosening its grasp on you. Again, for some of you, this may present more physically, more literally. This may be a literal job, a literal relationship. For some of you, I'm getting like familial or mother or family. There might be some really, I'm getting like some tightly wound like family stuff maybe. For others of you, this may feel like a situation has a grasp on you, or a certain way of thinking, or a negative pattern of thinking, or maybe you keep circling back to this really negative place and it feels like it won't let go of you. I do feel like this year ahead, that's going to be relinquishing you, if you will. So I almost feel like a lot of you are going to be diving back into a place of a little bit more autonomy, maybe a little bit more personal sovereignty, which is gonna feel probably really good, but also might feel a little bit foreign for some of you. So I will give that heads up that when that happens, there may be this instinct to kind of be like, well, what do I do now? Like there's space, and what do I do? Do I have to fill it? And my answer, which is going to bring us into this next card in a minute here, is that you don't have to fill the void. You don't have to fill the space. Something needs to let go of you, or you need to let go of it so it can let go of you. And I feel like there's going to be different points in this year ahead where it may be one or the other, or it may be both. If you really sit with yourself for just a minute, like take 5 minutes a day, fucking 5 minutes a day for gratitude and meditation. It sounds so cheesy, but it really helps. And if you take this time for yourself, I do feel like it might help you distinguish between what is something that you need to actively release versus what is something that you need to allow to release you. Whatever it is though, there's a way out. If you're feeling stuck in something, there's a way out. And what I love about this card is that in the book, it says, with self-acceptance, a fair bit of healing, perhaps aided by just gnawing through the bonds, possibilities and opportunities abound. Which brings me to the next card so beautifully, because it's acknowledging that healing is going to be part of this process. And we have deep cellular healing as our oracle card. The first thing that stands out to me with this card is a passage written in the book that says, physical and emotional disharmony can be a reflection of how the world, inner and outer, has been out of alignment. So, coming back to what I said about gratitude and meditation, if your inner self is not with it, your external world, your external reality is going to reflect that back to you. If you are not taking the time to allow yourself to have some calm, to have some peace, to have some silence and stillness in your life, your world is going to reflect back to you that exact same challenge, that exact same problem. You do not see the world as it is, you see the world as you are. If you are chaotic in your head, in your mind, in your life, in your body, in the way that you handle things, life is going to keep throwing chaos back at you. It's a mirror. People are mirrors. Situations are mirrors. Not everything has to be taken at the most spiritual, symbolic level, but there is, I firmly believe, a lot of power in the realm of energy, and reflections are a real thing. People are mirrors. Relationships are mirrors. Sometimes they show us things we love about ourselves. Sometimes they show us things we fucking hate about ourselves. And that is part of the joyous process. But the deep healing comes from accepting A, dualities, B, that all of that can coexist at once, which is really fucking hard for the tiny human brain to wrap its mind around. And C, realizing that your energy, your vibration, your body, your life is going to affect how you experience the world around you. If I'm wearing rose-tinted glasses, the entire world's gonna look rosy. If I'm wearing dark sunglasses, the entire world's gonna look darker. That has nothing to do with what the actual world is. Yes, I'm looking at something that you could say is objectively true. There's a tree outside. That tree is gonna be there regardless of what sunglasses I'm wearing. But depending on the glasses that I'm putting on, I'm going to see it differently. The world is not that different from that, in my opinion. Just my stinky humble opinion. So if that is the case, then understand that there is some deep healing that is going to be required for these shifts to happen. And that can be challenging because it can put the onus on you to make certain changes, but that's also a beautiful thing because that means that you have the power to make changes within yourself, to start healing within yourself, and that's going to translate to changing your own life. So you have a lot more power, and I feel like going back to this tarot card of maybe you're feeling stuck or like you're powerless or you're in the binds of something, and a lot of it really is just a matter of you being able to step up and own your perspective and own the way that you're doing things and own that you have some level of responsibility in how you experience life. You are not responsible for everything that happens in the world around you, but you do have responsibility for how you react to it and how you interpret it. So healing is going to be really important. Now, how do we go about doing this? First of all, this card is speaking to practicality. This card is speaking a lot to the physical nature. Yes, energy, I believe, has, physical imprints, but a lot of what this card is advising is to make sure that you put your body first and take care of your physical body, take care of your temple, take care of your surroundings, even the things, the situations that you put your body in. Make sure your home is clean. Make sure that your well groomed, you know, making sure that you make time to take care of your physical health. If you're not walking every day, that might be a good thing to add in. You may also find that you are maybe feeling a call to switch things up within your physical health or your well-being. Maybe you want to start a different kind of therapy. Maybe you want to start a different type of movement or exercise. Some of you may feel like calling in a team of supporters or working with a group or hiring a coach or working with someone else might be of benefit. And the encouragement is anytime you get a ping to do that, to at least consider it. Whether or not you move forward with that, that's going to be your decision. But you're potentially going to find yourself in situations where maybe you want to outsource a little, and maybe it's as simple as listening to a reading, you know? Maybe it's as simple as talking to a friend and asking for their input. There is some kind of healing that's going to come from your own internal work, but also I feel like sharing with others and maybe working with others to some degree, or allowing them, more so actually allowing them to share with you, it might help you to almost escape the mental confinements that you have, or the mental prison, if you will, that you may have built for yourself. Final piece that I want to read with this because I find it reassuring and beautiful and is a message I would certainly want to hear any time of any day. It's possible to feel vibrant in your body and well in your skin, to have your cells return to effervescence and vitality. Effervescence, I love that in this. To find calmness and contentedness, to have a soothed nervous system and a tranquil heart. Some of you, I feel like, are going to be doing nervous system work, EMDR maybe, craniosacral therapy, massage, acupuncture, Reiki, primal movement, big fan of that one, yoga, weightlifting, swimming, you name it. You're going to find paths, my dear Aries, in this upcoming year that are going to provide you outlets and opportunities to create this deep healing. And this deep healing is going to be the root of a lot of change that you might see in the world around you. So anything that's feeling stuck or be fragmented, or like it has a grasp on you that just doesn't feel good at this stage, instead of trying to come at it head on, which maybe I feel like for some of you you've been trying to do and it's making you tired and it's making you sick, a good approach would be to instead focus on turning within, taking care of yourself, taking care of your health, your mental well-being, your physical well-being, starting there and working at that as the root, and then seeing what shifts happen as a result of that and are reflected in your 3D reality. So my dears, thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already checked out the other signs, Sun, Moon, Rising, and North Node, highly recommend that you do that. Please make sure that you like this video if it resonated, or leave a comment below and save it for later in case you want to come back later this year. My dear Taurus, for the year of 2026, the cards I pulled for you really speak to a beauty in a certain unfolding of yourself, and also a meeting of maybe some of your shadows, some of your darkness, maybe your self-saboteur or the things that you are challenged with. I feel like this year ahead is going to have an abundance of opportunities for you to work with some of those more challenging energies and find some more harmony with them. The two cards that I pulled for you, dear Taurus, are the Courageous Peony, which has some of the most beautifully written messages out of any oracle card I have ever seen anywhere. And I also pulled for you guys the Devil. Now, don't freak out, because this is actually not a bad card, and this card is not symbolizing that you are going to be doomed. Au contraire. And I'm going to start with this tarot card for that reason. This can feel like a very auspicious card simply because of the ties that a lot of us have mentally to the sign of the Devil. What this card really is speaking to this inner voice that we have, or this inner critic, or some aspect of our lives that is reflecting back to us a lack in potential and a lack in ability. And it also speaks to energies that make us feel enslaved or make us feel powerless. I love how Elliot Oracle phrases this. If you want to read more, just go to elliotoracle.com and then look up the Devil. One of the things that he says, and I want to read it verbatim because I think it's so beautiful about this card. He says, "The devil is known by many names, but by far the most fitting is the Prince of Lies. The biggest lie that the devil tells is that he is more powerful than we are. Each day you have a choice." Those choices can look like believing you're trash, believing you're garbage, believing any voice in your head that says those kinds of things. Or that choice can be saying, I don't need to listen to that and I am worthy. The Devil speaks to the shadow aspects of humans that come up when we are living from a state of survival. If you are constantly in a state of hypervigilance or self-protection or self-preservation, you might find that your actions are coming more from a place of fear or jealousy or anger, and above all else, the pursuit of personal comfort. For some people, this can present in the way of addictions. For some people, this can present in the way of being mentally enslaved or mentally chained to certain constructs of oneself, certain constructs of how they should be versus how they are. And if you notice on the card here, the dog is on a leash, and the leash is sort of this symbol of being chained to something, of being tied to something, of not having freedom, of not having autonomy, which, going back to the concept of the devil being the king of lies, it is possible, and dare I say likely, that if this is something that you're looking at in the year ahead, you might be dealing with this feeling of being chained to something or being stuck with something. If you have Aries in your chart, there were some similar themes coming up there, so maybe this is also a collective theme that we're going to be looking at. But Taurus, for this upcoming year, anytime that you feel like you're stuck or blocked or challenged, I would encourage you to come back to this message that is very empowering in nature, and that reveals to you that some of the challenges that you may be dealing with, some of the devils that you may be looking at, are really a matter of narrative and a matter of perspective and a matter of living from a state of survival. Again, this card is speaking to this concept of something else has power over us, and this sort of lack or loss of a sense of autonomy. And this may be in some regards true. You may be working in a job where your boss technically is the authority, and so he has some kind of power or control over a situation. But what I want for you to come back to within yourself is realizing that you are an autonomous human being. If you're, able to watch this, you do have some level of free will and free choice. Granted, there may be restrictions in your life, there may be some limitations, but I would encourage you to look at how many of those limitations are self-imposed, or really are coming down to your beliefs about yourself, or your beliefs about how people are going to react to you, or your beliefs about what you deserve. I also want to say that this energy might be coming up not as a punishment to you, but as a way of almost testing it. It's kind of like a final test. Like if you're about to take a huge leap and right before you jump, you start having all of those doubts and you're like, oh shit, what if I don't make it? What if I can't do it? And I feel like for some of you, this year might be kind of that moment right before the jump where you're starting to really contend with some of those voices. And a lot of empowerment is going to come for you in saying, yes, I can, and yes, I do have the ability. And even if it doesn't go exactly as I planned, even if I jump and I sort of don't quite hit my target and I'm a little bit off, that doesn't mean that all has gone to complete shit. It just means that maybe you have to reroute. But if you don't believe in yourself inherently, in your ability to handle those changes, to handle those situations, to handle those kinds of chaos, because you're in such survival mode that opportunistic thinking isn't really firing for you so much, my encouragement would be to enable yourself to tap into a little bit more love and a little bit more openness. And I know that sounds cheesy as fuck, but that resonance, that energy, that vibrational state is likely going to help you realize that this leash is not very tight. Like, the dog can get out of this grasp. The dog is not bound to this leash forever. So any kind of constraint that you're experiencing, yeah, it might be real, and it probably is real on some degree, and also you have power, you have capacity in these situations. Even if you don't currently see it, it exists there. And so instead of saying, oh, where is my power, where is my authority, as if it doesn't exist, like, oh, I can't find it, ask the same question with curiosity. Where is my power? There it is. Where is my authority? Where do I have that? And I know this is a very subtle shift because I'm saying the same words. Again, it's the same situation, but the energy that you're coming at it from looks different. And therefore, the way that you look at the problem looks different. And when you look at the problem differently, different solutions might arise. And for some of you, this is going to feel maybe a little bit cerebral or like a very internal thing. Like, you may have a really great situation externally, and internally you might be challenged with something a little bit. And that brings me to the Oracle card, which I love and adore for you, because it speaks to this ability to let yourself be seen. I do love that in conjunction with this card, I also pulled the Courageous Peony. As noted, this has some of the most beautiful writing that I have ever read from a deck, so I am gonna read a couple of things from the book. First thing, very first sentence here. Flowers don't open and close according to who walks by. They embrace all of what they are and show it to the world around them. The peony doesn't try to compete with the cherry blossom, and the cherry blossom doesn't try to compete with the tulip. They own what they are and trust the timing of their true nature. You are being called to do the same. I feel like for some of you, some of your blockage might be in allowing yourself to be seen. Maybe you are in a position where you're realizing, I have these demons, I have these challenges, I don't deserve to be here because I have these things. My friendly reminder to you is that everyone has demons, and everyone has darkness, and everyone has shadow, and this is a part of life. This is part of the human experience. I feel like some of you might be in a state where maybe you've been hiding, or maybe this year you're going to be tempted to hide or to not share those pieces of yourself. Maybe if you're in a really dark place, you're going to feel a temptation to not open up to anyone about it because you feel like no one's going to understand. Maybe if you're not in such a dark place and you feel like you're doing pretty good, there might be some things that you're still holding on to that you could share with the world, but you're not, because there's this tiny piece of you that's like, maybe don't, like this part we can reserve this, because what if they don't like it? And any like thought that takes you down the path of what if they don't like it, what if they react this, what if they react that, as long as your choices are moral and ethical, I feel like you're being invited to step into those oddities, those things that maybe will set you apart a little bit. And maybe one of the lies that you're telling yourself is that this piece of you doesn't deserve to be seen. Maybe you're telling yourself that this devil card, this challenge that you've dealt with is something that you need to hide. I do believe that vulnerability is something that to some degree is earned. I wouldn't tell all of my deepest, darkest secrets to the whole world. And also, I do believe that there is some value in revealing challenges or struggles that you may have had in a way that is palatable to other people, because it might help them too. So I would encourage you to look at maybe some of the ways that you potentially are harboring, or I want to say like keeping things in that could be shared that might be helpful to others. Or if you're in a state where you're keeping things in because you're afraid of what they might say, that in and of itself could be a really beautiful lesson in looking at and dealing with some of these challenges. First of all, I will say I'm not a therapist, so please do not replace therapeutic advice with this. But one thing I have found very, very helpful is looking at addiction as a symptom of a deeper problem. Addiction itself is a coping mechanism. It is a survival mechanism. Again, if we're looking at the devil, what's going on is this level of needing to survive and doing what you can to survive. And that may take a lot of different forms, and addiction is a very common one of those forms. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's a inherently bad thing. It's actually, generally speaking, a very brilliant coping mechanism for us to be able to process life and to handle life. And also, if you look at it from the perspective of, I have power over this doesn't need to have power over me, maybe your ability to work with that situation and to start shifting that situation might look a little bit different, or might bring you a little bit more of a sense of strength. Because if you're in a position where you feel powerless to something, it would make sense that taking the action to overpower it might feel discouraging. That may feel very challenging for some of you, but for some of you that may feel really beautiful, because it opens up a world of opportunities for you to look at the way that you deal with life, to look at the way that you deal with situations, look at the narratives that you're telling yourself, look at the, most importantly, lies you're telling yourself. Are you telling yourself lies that this is gonna make things better? Are you telling yourself lies that you don't deserve to be happy? Are you telling yourself lies that blah, 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 blah? On a deep level, you probably know what you need, and if you are feeling unworthy or like it doesn't deserve to be shared or spoken or said to anyone, then a big, beautiful challenge for you in this upcoming year is to realize that the type of flower you are may be different than the type of flower that they are, and that's okay. And that doesn't make you any less beautiful. It just makes you a different kind of flower. Shout out to Margarita Nazarenko. She makes a lot of beautiful analogies about, you know, you may be the ripest, juiciest peach in the world, but someone may not like a peach. They may want, I don't know, an apricot. I forget the one that she usually uses. But if that's the dynamic, then like you don't need to be upset with yourself for being the peach, you know? That's just part of your path. So overall, dear Taurus, you have a lot of opportunities for growth in this upcoming year. You have a lot of opportunities for sovereignty and self-empowerment, which is really beautiful. So if at any point you hit snags along the way, you feel challenged, you feel stuck, just know the leash isn't being held too tight. You have the ability to get out. It might take a little bit of work, but these cards would not come up if you didn't have the capacity and the ability to do so. Please make sure, for extra context, you check out the rest of your big three as well as your North Node. And if this resonated, give a little thumbs up. So in 10 minutes, the sun went down, the temperature dropped like 20 degrees, and the guinea fowl are now screaming outside. So if you hear them in the background, I'm so sorry. We're gonna continue on with this reading. Okay, moving into Gemini. My dear Geminis, the year of 2026 is looking like it has an abundance of opportunities, an abundance of potential, an abundance of I want to say seedlings, like there's things that can grow, new things that you can be doing, new things that you can be moving into. I pulled for you the Three of Wands from the Cat Tarot deck. I also pulled from our Oracle deck the Seas of Mintaka. I really should know. I should know how to pronounce that. That's really silly that I don't. These are both beautiful cards. I also want to point to the aqua theme that is presented here for you guys if you're into color or anything that might be a great color this upcoming year for you to tune into and vibe with. Main themes for the year ahead, starting with Oracle, seeing potential and bringing unconsciousness to light. This card is speaking to the energy of untapped potential, as well as the ability to see light in everything. And this can be a challenge sometimes, especially if we're potentially in a really dark place. So if you're coming back to this reading in the future and you're like, there's a lot of darkness going on and a lot of challenge, this may be a call for you to seek the good, seek the light in your situations, in your life, even if it feels like they're hard to see. Highly recommend a practice of gratitude, my dear Gemini, if you don't already have one. There's a certain level of clarity that comes at the beginning of new adventures, a certain level of clarity that comes before you start taking action. I feel like Geminis, a lot of you might be in a state where you are starting a new project or you have started a new project, and this card is very positive when it comes to new ventures. It's very positive. If there's something you've been thinking about doing or thinking about starting, this would be a really good time for you to actually step forward into those things. This card represents the crystalline clarity, and it says quote unquote crystalline clarity. If you notice how clear the water is, the crystalline clarity of potential and possibility. It's about the ability and choice to see potential in all people and all situations, which means that you might be feeling challenged almost, like maybe around people that are really challenging you and you're struggling to see the light in them. This card is a call to see the light in all the situations, the potential in all the situations that are around you right now. Again, at different times in the year, this may be speaking to different things. This may be coming out in different ways. You may notice this in your finances, in your work life, in business, in relationships, in your family. This may also present itself in the way of small opportunities, small meetings of new people, tiny. I feel like for some of you, this may be seen in really tiny ways. The word seedlings has been coming up over and over and over again. Maybe some of you are going to plant a garden or want to plant a garden. There's something that feels like it might be a little bit more on the subtle side, but if you're feeling a call to lean into it or to lean into doing something new maybe, or trying something new because you see some potential in it, this card is a very positive sign that going for that might be a good call. Even if it doesn't work out the way that you planned, you'll probably learn something in the process. And this card is really speaking to the power of making that choice, actively making that choice to move forward in something that you see potential in, regardless of what the outcome is going to be. If you are so outcome obsessed and less focused on what the process is or what you might learn from it, it may feel a little bit more challenging. So again, if you can see the opportunity in everything, maybe you go for this business venture and that bombs, that shit tanks, doesn't work out. Great. Now you have an opportunity to seek something different. Now you have an opportunity to see it with a different perspective. Now you have an opportunity to go into business next time having learned this. It's all about possibility. If you can continually seek out possibility, even in the shittiest, most dire situations, it will lead you into places and positions in your life that you might not have come across if you didn't follow the little threads of possibility along the way. Again, this card is not about perfection. It's not about everything coming to fruition. It's about the importance of paying attention to those possibilities, seeing them, and being aware of them. A lot of people who are good at business are not good at business just because they have a lot of skills. It's because they're able to see opportunity and to seize it. Which brings me to my next card, the Three of Wands. Now you will notice with this card, there's one kitty, he's playing with three little strands, and then there's another one who has his back turned and he's looking at these beautiful triangles on the wall. There's a lot of symbolism in this card, so I want to break it down for you, and this will likely pertain to different areas of your life throughout this upcoming year, so come back to it if you need any extra reassurance or help or guidance. This cat that's looking at the triangles, he's looking at opportunities. The triangles are symbolic of travel. They're symbolic of little sails on a ship. So there are opportunities for new adventures, for trying new things, which goes beautifully hand in hand with this Seas of Mintaka. I'm just gonna call it that for now. If I'm wrong, tell me. I'm not afraid to be wrong. I could look it up, but I'm not going to because I want to keep getting through this reading and keep my energy here. Anyways, I say as I go on a colossal tangent, one thing to notice is that the cat has his back turned to the other one. So there is this level of understanding that he's not able to see what's going on over here because he hasn't opened up his vantage point. He's literally turned, he's closed himself off to some possibilities, and he's open to different ones. Neither one is wrong. This cat's not wrong for staring at the wall. This cat's not wrong for playing with the yarn. There's not this right or wrong dynamic. There's simply this abundance of possibilities. Again, you can look this way, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this. There's a world, and outside of what's pictured here, there's a world of things that a cat could do. So you have this abundance of possibilities, which might feel a little bit overwhelming, but the encouragement is to see that as a possibility, to learn about possibilities in and of itself. Another point with this card, which brings me back to a practice of gratitude, it states that sometimes we can see everything wonderful that is right in front of us. And sometimes we have to turn around to shift our perspective. So little kitty over here, looking at one option, totally fine, not a problem, but he doesn't see this beautiful option to play with his friend that's right behind him because he hasn't turned around, because he hasn't shifted his perspective. So, dear Gemini, anytime in this year ahead that you might be feeling blocked or stuck or stagnant or confused or frustrated or any of those other tricky, prickly emotions, or even if you're feeling great and energized but maybe a little too energized, if you don't know what to do, you don't know what direction to turn in, you don't know where to go, you don't know how to do it, my encouragement from these two cards are A, shift your perspective. See if it opens up new opportunities for you. In jiu-jitsu, if you train it, you may know this lesson. If you don't, it's a beautiful sport. One of the greatest lessons, if it's not working to go at a problem head on, come at it from sideways. Change your perspective, change the way that you're going about it. If you keep doing a thing and it's not working, it's an opportunity for you to maybe try a different approach. Maybe try going around the problem instead of directly through it, because sometimes going directly through it and bulldozing through it isn't going to solve a problem. For some of you, what really matters in this time might just be a little bit more focus, a little bit more concentration. So once you have arrived at a certain potential that you want to follow or a thread you want to follow, again, thread that you want to play with, when you figure out which string you want to play with, the intention with that is not just to see the opportunity, but to start moving towards it and taking actionable steps towards it and having focus and clarity in a certain direction. If you were just sitting there, as much as I love the cards that are saying be open to all the opportunities, if you sit there and you just look at the opportunities all around you and that's all you're doing, I mean, that's great from the perspective of your perspective, and that it gives you the opportunity to see different routes that you could take. And also, my dears, you may find that this, if it feels sticky, is because it's showing you that you now have this new task, which is taking action in any given direction. Again, you always have the opportunity to pivot. You always have the option to just turn around and decide you want to go a different way. You're not limited to just this one path. So if you're anything like me, maybe you might be stuck in this point of like indecision. Indecision is a decision. One final thing I do want to note with this card, because there is water involved. Carl Jung, if you're into Jungian psychology at all, a lot of themes with water. If you have dreams with water, they have a lot to do with our emotions and also a lot to do with our subconscious. So part of this seeing the light in everything is also bringing to light the things that may be in the shadows, maybe the things that are in the darkness. There may be some aspects of yourself, your personality, your life that are controlled, if you will, by subconscious thoughts. So there is an invitation for this upcoming year as well to observe that which is just below the surface, that which is down here, and if it is murky waters, to find clarity in them by examining those subconscious beliefs, examining those subconscious thoughts. Total sidebar, but if you have not yet read the book Healing the Shame That Binds You by John Bradshaw, I highly recommend this book. It is one of the most amazing books that I have ever read in my life. Speaks about shame, which for a lot of people is a big, black, murky, dark spot. It's in our blind spot. And I think for me personally, a lot of my challenges and subconscious issues were brought to life in a really beautiful way by reading that book. It is a little bit on the older side, so some of the information might feel a little bit outdated, but overall, the themes that it speaks to are just monumental. So if you're interested in that, go for it. If you're not, totally fine. Take it or leave it. I don't really mind. The main point of this is that the things that might feel hidden, that might feel shadowy, that might feel darker, there is a large theme of bringing those to light. Now, this is a theme that has also come up with the last 2 readings for Aries and Taurus. So I feel like collectively, we're all going to be kind of looking at this, pulling the things out and looking at them and dealing with them subconsciously, dealing with those subconscious wounds, which is a beautiful opportunity. Again, an opportunity to start making changes, potential to start having maybe more positive experiences of life or more honest experiences of life. That seems a little bit more true to what the feeling I'm getting is. The more that you can take away the murkiness, the more that you can see life with clarity and also see those options and opportunities with clarity. If you have all these opportunities and all of these different potentials and you're still figuring out what do I want to do, or maybe you've decided like this is the opportunity I want to go with, I'm going to move towards it. My encouragement is to have awareness that throughout this year, as you're moving towards that, it may bring up, especially if it's something new or something exciting, it may bring up some things that are subconscious. So any challenges that you face you're not facing them because you did something wrong. You're not facing them because you made the wrong decision. You're not facing them because you royally fucked something up. You're facing those challenges because you're in a place now where you've positioned yourself to see some of the areas that maybe need to be worked through as a part of your journey in wherever it is that you're going in your life. Be gentle with yourself in that process. Be excited. You have so many cool opportunities, so much amazing potential. Anytime that you feel a closure or a closing of excitement, or you feel kind of like you're walling off from those potentials, sit with yourself, talk to your inner child, give him some love. He really probably needs it, or she. And then allow yourself to just open those eyes, maybe shift your vantage point. If you shift your vantage point 2%, it may feel like a small shift, but in the large trajectory, 2% takes you to a whole different place. So small, minor changes when you can, opening up that perspective might be really beneficial for you in the year ahead, my dear Geminis. So thank you so much for tuning in. Check out all your big 3 and your North Node if you haven't already, and leave a little thumbs up if this helped. Dear Cancer, for the year of 2026, I pulled 2 cards that actually have very, very similar themes, a lot of parallels, a lot of overlaps. So it does look like thematically you have one really, really big mission in this upcoming year. And a lot of that comes from creating new solutions, having a new perspective, changing your vantage point, and this kind of onwards and upwards attitude. My dears, for the year ahead, I pulled for you the Inner Earth card as well as the 5 of Cups in reverse. Now, I'm going to start out with the 5 of Cups and then move into the Oracle. So 5 of Cups in the upright, she looks like this. Anytime a Cups card is pulled, it is looking at emotionality. You are a Cancer, which is a water sign. So this is ruled by the same theme, if you will, by the same type of energy. There is potentially a lot of emotionality that you may be moving through, processing. Maybe you already processed it. Maybe 2025 was a really heavy year for you, or maybe there was some kind of departure or change or shift in your life. This may be something that also happens incrementally throughout the year, whether it's in small ways or in large ways. There is some level of changing and shifting that I feel like you're going to become well accustomed with if you aren't already. Now, this is not a bad thing. This is not a bad sign. What life is giving you is an opportunity to have some resilience in how you deal with different kinds of challenges, especially challenges that touch more on the thread of emotionality. I feel like you're going to be looking a lot more at matters pertaining to the heart, although they can show up in more practical ways. For some of you, this may just be like an inner darkness or an inner demon that you've been dealing with, and you may be at a point where you're starting to shift how you work with that, which is beautiful and phenomenal, and honestly, a lot of what this upcoming year calls for. Both of these cards come with a huge message of giving yourself fresh air and fresh perspective, especially if there is something that feels challenging, or if it does feel like there's some kind of a loss or a change. But this lends itself to the opportunity to have new solutions, to have new outcomes that maybe you didn't perceive that actually might be way better than what you had previously expected or thought. The 5 of Cups is a beautiful card in that it indicates that you are at a time in your life or in a space in your life where you've reached a sort of turning point. Throughout this upcoming year, if you find that you come up on challenges, know that what you're being shown is not how shitty life can be or how hard life can be. What you're being shown is there's so much good in life, even though sometimes it can bring challenge. And I don't mean to toxic positivity this. I don't need you to look at every situation and say, oh, well, at least the cup is half full, because that's not the reality. If your experience is that now the cup is half empty when it used to be full, that's gonna suck. And also, that does not negate the fact that it is still half full. So the intention in the year ahead for you is to learn how to pay attention to what your perspective is. Learn how to pay attention to what you're focusing on. If you're focusing on challenges as being hurdles and the end of your joy and the end of your success, then the narrative that you're creating for yourself is not going to be conducive to creating positive change. A lot of what this card calls for is this concept of acceptance and forgiveness and moving on, not blindly moving things into the past and bulldozing through it, and also not wallowing in it. Both of these cards come with a message to get outside, literally go outside, shift your perspective, shift the way that you're looking at something, shake it up, do something different. If you are stuck in the same routine over and over and over again, and you have something in that routine fall apart, or it changes, or it shifts, or it's not what it used to be, or it's not working anymore, allow yourself the freedom to change your course a little bit, to shift your direction a little bit, to move around what you're doing, and focus on the power that you do have to evoke change in the way that you're experiencing your life. You can view challenges simply as setbacks, or you can view them as opportunities to almost slingshot, if you will, take a little step back so that you can be launched forward into something totally different. So apparently somehow my camera died, and not somehow, the battery died. I don't know why it died so soon, but alas, had to charge it. We have different lighting now. The sun has gone down. That's okay. Such is life. We move. Let's keep going. Cancers, with Inner Earth and the Five of Cups in reverse. One other thing I want to note, especially with this card, is going actually back to the themes that were coming up with the other cards that I have pulled for this reading, and really just kind of speaking to a theme that I feel like we're all going to be looking at in 2026 in general. There is this release, there is this freedom from things that feel like they are binding you or holding you down. These can be mental constructs. These can be totally irrelevant to everyone around us. These could be things that thoughts that we're thinking that are keeping us locked in old patterns or ways of doing things or beliefs about ourselves. These things could also be external situations, but realistically, I feel like a lot of what has been coming up in this reading, and also a belief that I personally hold, is that the external is a reflection of the internal. So if you're having all of these situations where you're feeling locked or caged in or confined by things in a way that feels restrictive, not boundaried, but restrictive, then it is likely a reflection of something internal that's happening. Cancers, a lot of the message with this Five of Cups, especially in the reverse, but also with the upright, is the theme of forgiveness and the theme of letting go. So as previously noted, it looks like some of you may be kind of letting go of situations that you thought might work out, or letting go of things that didn't quite go as planned, and learning to adjust your sails, keep going where the wind takes you. One of the things that I feel like some of you may be letting go of actually may not have anything to do with what happens in this current year. So if you're like, I'm gonna lose my relationship, I'm gonna lose my house, I'm gonna lose my family, I'm gonna lose someone that's close to me, that's not necessarily what this card pull is saying. I feel like for some of you, you may be in a state where you're coming to terms with something that you lost as a child, or something that you lost when you were much younger, or almost grieving something that you didn't have, or something like you're grieving a reality that you feel could have existed but never had the ability to come to fruition. And again, these are not necessarily constructs that are limited to exactly what's right in front of us and what's going on in the here and now. You might be processing something that happened years and years and years ago that you maybe never fully looked at, or maybe never fully came to grips with. And the beauty of this card is that it is a symbol of hope and renewal and moving forward. So I do feel like, in addition to having the opportunity of sort of working through some of these more challenging emotions that you may have had around these past experiences, you might be opening yourself up to healing from those situations, like actively healing in the year that we have ahead of us. Some of you are already on this journey. I feel like some of you have already been doing this healing work, and maybe you're starting to see the benefits of that. And then maybe at times you feel like little bits of setbacks, or like, oh, is this even working? Because, you know, healing happens in spirals. So if you are experiencing that or having any discouragement, first and foremost, my encouragement to you is to keep going. Second of all, the process of letting go of these things and releasing these old traumas, releasing these old regrets, releasing you're letting go of this need to dwell on the past. And that can look so many different ways. So per what I said, it's not necessarily letting go of everything that you have right now. It's letting go of the past version of you that envisioned it going a certain way. And letting go of the fact that maybe it's not perfect, or it's not the way that you envisioned it, or you wish that you had a different experience growing up so you could have a different reality now, but the reality you have now is simply that. It's the reality you have now. That's what you have to work with. You choose how you want to deal with that, which is where we all have choice. And this is something that I really love about this kind of work and divination, is I don't believe that you don't have choice. I believe everyone has the power of choice. You choose how you deal with it. You choose how you move through it. You choose what you do with it and what you want to believe about it. And you have a lot of beautiful opportunities to work with that. Again, with this Inner Earth card, we have opportunities for new solutions, opportunities for new beginnings, opportunities for things to shift in a direction that really does serve us, even if in the moment we may not see how that is going to unfold. We may not consciously be fully aware of what that may look like. Those opportunities exist for us. The encouragement with these cards is when you can accept the reality that you are in, and you can continue to have hope for the future and hope for the way it may pan out, even if it's not exactly the way that you planned. That's what's going to plant the seeds in order for you to be able to move forward. Big themes of forgiveness. This can be forgiving yourself. This can be forgiving other people. This can be forgiving situations. This can be forgiving the universe. Whoever it is, whatever it is that's going on, if there's any place in your life that you're feeling challenge, conflict, or struggle in the year ahead, I would definitely encourage you to focus on forgiveness, asking what you can forgive, and also focus on where are there areas for me to pick myself up and to keep moving forward, even if that direction is ever so slightly different from where I thought it was going to go, or if it's cataclysmically different. That's totally fine too. These cards are symbolizing a sense of relief and a sense of freedom that comes from allowing these processes to be in the past and to learn from them, as opposed to closing yourself off from your future or from the future version of yourself that has grown and developed from these various circumstances. So I hope that this was helpful, my dear Cancers. If you have questions on anything, please feel free to reach out. Make sure you check out your other big three, your sun, your moon, your rising, as well as your north node if you haven't already, and come back to this reading at any point in this year if you feel like you need a little bit of additional perspective or guidance. The messages that stand out to you then may be different from the ones now, so feel free to use it as much as you need to. All right, love you guys. Moving on to the next one. My dear Leos, Leo sun, moon, rising, and north node, welcome to your 2026 reading. I love the cards that I pulled for you guys, for us. I'm a Leo rising. First and foremost, we have a lot of power in forging our own path. So I pulled, first card, Forge, Don't Follow. This was from the Oracle deck. And from my Kitty Tarot deck, I pulled the Page of Pentacles. It looks like some of you are changing direction, whether that is personally, financially, logistically, business-wise, relationship-wise. Maybe you're starting a new chapter, maybe motherhood, maybe fatherhood, maybe parenting, maybe graduating, maybe starting school, maybe starting a new work life. There's some kind of shift that's either been going on for you or will be going on for you in this upcoming year. Change is not bad. Change is beautiful, in case you're like, I don't want to change. I feel like the changes that are going to be happening this year, you do want. And some of you may feel challenged because you might be put in situations where you maybe feel like you don't have the leadership that you want from others. Maybe you feel like you don't know what you're doing. I feel like a lot of you might be experiencing maybe the smallest, teensiest little bit of imposter syndrome at different points, and not fully knowing where you're going to go, how you're going to get through it, what you're going to do, how you're going to move through certain challenges that might be presenting themselves. And there's a lot of beauty in that, because part of the challenge for you in this wonderful 2026 year is that it's giving you an opportunity to It's giving you an opportunity to figure these things out for yourself, and realizing that your journey may look different from somebody else's or everybody else's, and that is okay, and that in and of itself is a gift, even if at times it feels frustrating and you are feeling like, I don't know what to do or where to go. The purpose of this is to get you to trust yourself, to make different calls, trust yourself to succeed, and also trust yourself to fail, because if you fail, you're gonna be able to pick yourself back up and get yourself back on your feet. That is the joy and the beauty of what you, Leo, have to offer. I do wanna read a couple of things from the book, especially with this lovely little Page of Pentacles card. So for those of you who are not as familiar with tarot, Pentacles has a lot to do with resources. It's speaking a little bit more to the physical manifestations of life. Pentacles can be money and our income, our jobs, maybe our food, our health. It's speaking to things that are a little bit more tangible. And part of what this card is encouraging you to do, being a page card, which is kind of symbolizing a newer, younger, fresher energy, is to solve for potential future problems by having a good plan. That doesn't mean everything has to go exactly according to this plan, but I do feel like the intention that you set and the way that you start a project is going to very largely affect the way that it comes out. If you are so afraid to start something that you don't even start it, that's gonna show in the results. If you are so perfectionistic and you spend so much time on it that it ends up not getting done, that's gonna show in the finished product. If you are sloppy and unintentional and rushed when you are starting a project and you just kind of go for it and you don't really have any semblance of grounding with it or any semblance of a plan, that might come through in the outcome of these different things. So you don't need to have everything perfectly strategized and planned out, but I will definitely encourage you, for any new ventures that you're taking or anything that you decide to do, to have a little bit of planning involved in the beginning stages, especially of these new projects. Also, this is an encouragement to take a good hard look at your future and to understand that this hand right here is dangling a little treat in front of you. And if you notice the cat who is blepping, which I adore, he looks a little bit enticed by the treat, and treats are not necessarily a bad thing. Treats can be a really beautiful thing. Your encouragement is to set your intentions, meaning plan for what you actually want and not just not accepting breadcrumbs, if you will. This is about seeing beyond this one little potential good thing. So maybe in business you'll have an offer and you're like, oh, that looks good. And maybe something in you isn't fully, I don't want to say fully resonant, but something in you is giving like a hard, like, no, but it looks good. So maybe you just go for that anyways. If that is the case, that there is a challenge for you and an encouragement for you to decide to operate differently and to decide not to take the low-hanging fruit and instead to have a good plan and a strong start to go in the direction that you actually want to go in. I also would like to note that behind Kitty, the little pentacle is a sun catcher that is full of different vibrant colors, and the message with this specific piece is very, very Leo. Leo, if you know anything about your sign, you know that there is this light shining. Leo is kind of embodying the essence of the sun. It's bright. It's kind of like the look at me, I'm here and I'm not afraid to shine, which is a beautiful energy and something I really love about Leo traits. And the encouragement of the little pentacle is to remind you to find all the unique and colorful things about yourself, and that will likely be in service to you. So if you are in a position in this upcoming year where you're feeling stuck or blocked, or you're not really sure what to do or how to handle something, and maybe you've already done the prep work or the planning, or you're feeling stuck in the prep work and the planning, a large piece of the encouragement is to take a look, an inventory, if you will, of the things that make you unique, the things that make you you, the things that make you colorful and bright, and going beyond that, understanding how those gifts maybe can influence what your capabilities are. So if you're like, I want to start a new business venture, I don't know what to do. If you think of it and just say like, I want to make a lot of money, and then you just like try to make a plan around that, but you don't take into consideration the fact that you are a pivotal piece of that, and you neglect that, it might feel, again, it might not feel like fully intentional, because a piece of you is missing, more or less. I feel like that's an odd analogy, but what I'm getting at is there is a quintessential piece of you that is going to be embedded in all of the work that you produce, do, and create. And if you don't take the time to honor those pieces of you and maybe explore them a little bit and see, okay, well, what is this aspect of me? How can I utilize this to contribute to this greater goal, even if it feels totally irrelevant? Like maybe you're super artistically creative and you want to get involved in, I don't know, some kind of hedge fund thing that's more in the realm of like numbers and whatnot. You can still take a minute and say, is it possible for me to marry these two seemingly very different aspects of life, because it's a piece of me that I can now infuse into what's going on here. I know that this feels very indirect, but there's a really strong encouragement with this, again, because it is page and it is kind of youthful, to be willing to explore those different aspects of yourself. There's also, because it is page, a willingness to explore and a willingness to learn. Being willing to learn is probably going to be one of the most important things that you will come across in this upcoming year. I just went through like 8 accents there. And that brings me to the oracle card I pulled for you guys, which is Forge, Don't Follow. And part of the leadership of this is being willing to try new things and to learn from them. And you might fuck up, it might not go the way that you want it to, but you are giving yourself an opportunity to learn something. And also, if you don't take the time to have some kind of planning, to do the education that's required to do the kind of work that you want to do, or to put yourself in the positions that you want to put yourself in. Like there is a responsibility for you in being a leader and forging your own path. You're creating leadership for yourself, which really matters. And also you're creating leadership for other people. This is making me almost misty-eyed, but in the book it says, like, do it for yourself, do it for your daughter, do these things for the people that are going to come after you, because in being a leader, you're going to generate followers of some kind. And that doesn't mean they're going to follow every single thing that you do, but it would be doing a disservice to the people that admire you and are learning from you, for you to not be learning for yourself and learning things to pass along to them. So there is this kind of like two-edged sword, like be willing to make mistakes and be willing to try new things and be willing to infuse all of yourself and your personality into the things that you're doing. And also be willing to take the time to make a plan and make at least a decent one, and to do the education that's required and to learn, and to not skip those little steps that actually really matter, because if you are going to be a leader, you need to lead with the best of your ability. Even if the only person you're leading is yourself, part of the message of this card is to be the leader that you wish that you had. If you wish someone had taught you these things, become the person who learns them so you can teach them to yourself. That was one of the weirdest sentences I have ever said. But I think that there's a lot of truth to coming at it with that perspective. Another thing I want to mention with this card, you are here to pave a path that hasn't been walked before. This can be taken super literally. Like, you might actually go out and start trailblazing, which would be fantastic. And my dear Leos, there is something this year that's gonna ask you to step into your sense of courage, which for some of you might feel very scary and might feel very daring. But ultimately, like, the most courageous leaders, they're not waiting for permission. They decide to act, and they do. And I feel like that's part of the quote unquote making a plan, is make a plan so that you can act upon it. You know, don't just like jump in and be like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing at all. And also, you don't have to know everything, because the purpose of all of this is that you're gonna learn along the way. Learn what you need to know in order to jump into the fire. And also, that knowledge can be self-taught. That knowledge can come from within. That knowledge can come from the World Wide Web. That knowledge can come from the abundance of resources that are available to you, especially with the internet now. Like, we have so many opportunities to learn so many things. So do your due diligence to learn what you can and do what you can. And also, you don't need to wait for 1 million people to say you're ready to go. You don't need to wait for 500 mentors. You don't need to have a guru in front of you who's walked the exact path that you're walking, because they don't exist. And if you're looking for them, you're looking for that one person who's gonna save your soul and tell you exactly what you need to do. My dear Leo, they're not coming to save you. This is your job for yourself. This is your responsibility to yourself. And in doing this for yourself, you teach others how to do that for themselves, which is probably one of the most powerful things you could possibly do. Finally, what I want to read with this card: don't look to those who have come before you to work out your path. Leaders must forge their own. Do it for your daughter. Do it for the younger you. Do it for the leaders who will follow. Why am I gonna cry? This is so beautiful. When you go first, you make it easier for others to follow your lead. Forge, don't follow. That is very self-explanatory, but anytime in this upcoming year, dear Leos, if you are feeling like you don't know what to do, you don't know where to step, look within yourself. Sure, you can ask other people their thoughts, their advice, their guidance, but ultimately these decisions are things that are gonna have to come from you and from within you. And beyond that, there are things that are going to come from all of the unique aspects and facets of yourself. This Page of Pentacles and this emblem here is teaching us to pay attention to the beauty that lies within us, and that is going to help us lead to the best of our ability. So my dear Leos, thank you so much for tuning in. Please make sure you check out your big three, your sun, your moon, your rising, as well as your north node if you haven't already. Adds further clarification, also adds a little bit more emphasis on things. And make sure you save this reading, because if at any point in this year you feel like you need extra guidance, extra encouragement, maybe you're feeling scared to take that leap, you can come back to this and get the encouragement you need. All right, I love you guys, and moving on to the next one. All right, my dear Virgos, for the year of 2026, it looks like you have a lot of opportunities to start following your quote-unquote soul's plan. And before I get into any of this, I want to preface that a soul's plan is not necessarily a premeditated fate or something that you have to follow in a specific order. I love the way that one of the cards for you defines the difference between a fated life and a destiny life. And the key difference between those is the ability to choose, and also the sense that your choice matters and it has an impact on your life. So for this upcoming year, Virgos, I pulled the card I Remember, which I will explain in a moment here. And I also pulled the almost said Cat of Pentacles. I pulled the Page of Pentacles in the reversed. I'm gonna start out with Oracle and then move into Tarot for this one for you guys. So with the card I Remember, it is speaking to the theme of your quote-unquote soul plan. As I mentioned, I love that the book makes a distinguishment with this card between your fated life, which is the life that you were born into, which is something that your soul quote-unquote chose. It's something that you on some capacity subconsciously chose in order to have the life that you're having, versus your destiny life, which involves your own personal choice and things that you decide to do and the way that you decide to live. We live in a world of free will, so these moments that we walk into only become our destiny when we say yes to them. There can be something that your soul plan, if you will, had for you, or your fate had for you. Let's say there's an experience that you were fated to run into. You choose whether or not you want to say yes or no to that specific thing, to that specific mission. And one of my favorite personal sayings that I was ever taught from a mentor, from Keith's Cacao, he said, there's no right or wrong way, there's only your way. Virgo is, or can be, a very challenging energy at times. The reason that it can be challenging sometimes is because the light side is all about refinement. It's all about getting things done a little bit better each time. And this is a really beautiful gift. However, the shadow side of Virgo is perfectionism. So if you're constantly looking for the perfect right answer, the perfect right path, and you're looking to have it handed to you on a silver platter, if you will, it is likely that you are going to experience a little bit of friction in the upcoming year until you can more or less open yourself to the notion or the concept that you're going to be presented with an array of opportunities, and it is your choice whether or not you will say yes or no to them. And so your destiny is not necessarily this, like, if I do X, Y, and Z perfect and I get everything right, then I'm going to arrive at this wonderful perfect state. The purpose of at least what this reading is saying, what you're going to be looking at for this upcoming year, is learning how to make choices that you resonate with. It is likely with this card that in the upcoming year, you might find yourself at a crossroads or at a moment when you're being called to make a decision. Maybe you've already hit this in the year. If you're revisiting this later, perhaps you're in that state now where you're like, crap, I'm at another decision. I'm at another fork in the road. What am I supposed to do? What do I do? And the encouragement with this card is to remember that your soul has a greater plan and you are invited to surrender to it. Even if the path you're being presented with is undefined or it feels different, it's very normal, especially in those cases, it's very normal to have doubt creep up in your mind. And doubt is not a predictor of failure. Doubt is not a sign that you're on the right path. In fact, I feel like for a lot of you, it might be a sign that you're on a good path for you, because it's showing that there's areas where you have opportunities to grow, or opportunities where you don't for sure know how something's going to go, or for sure know what the right quote unquote answer is. And in pretty much all literature, or every wonderful story ever read, told, heard, the hero deals with a moment where he comes face to face with doubt. And so I love that this card kind of brings that concept up and reminds us of the fact that it's normal to experience that. It's a normal human emotion to have doubt, to have fears, to be unsure, especially again, if you're feeling like you're being guided in a direction that maybe doesn't line up with the plan that you had in your own mind. But there is also a gift in following that and in trusting that. Which brings me to my next card, the Seven of Pentacles in the reverse. The Seven of Pentacles comes up at a time when you might be in a state of reevaluation. Maybe you have gone through some things that didn't go according to plan. Maybe you're feeling very frazzled. This energy kind of speaks to this energy that you might experience after a little bit of chaos, after a little bit of a shakeup. Maybe you're in the middle of the shakeup right now. Maybe you're tuning in because you want some guidance in dealing with this shakeup. And the encouragement with this specific card is to make a plan and take action with a clear vision as to what you want to bring forward. Not necessarily a vision of your perfect ideal outcome and a limitation that that is the only outcome that you could have, but maybe having as part of your vision some level of positivity. This card comes up at a time when you need to make a plan and start taking action. If you're feeling frustrated, or if you've been feeling frustrated, it is likely that the root of that, or at least some of the root of that, is that potentially you have not had a very strong plan, or you've been procrastinating, or a combination of the two. So there's this stuck energy in the way of moving forward. I feel like a lot of you, maybe because you have a Virgo placement, maybe haven't been taking that action because you're like, I don't know what the right way is, or I don't know what the road is. Again, maybe you're not trusting yourself. You're not trusting your inner guidance, your greater guidance. You're not trusting what feels like it's the authentic soul path for you. And so if that resonates, then I would very much encourage you to take some time to really get clear on what your vision is, what your goals are, what direction you want to go in, whether or not it works out perfectly and or accordingly. The lack of action, or the lack of follow through in that direction, or maybe just the continual action in a direction that's just not working, might be just creating a lot more friction and a lot more stuckness. On the contrary, something to consider with this card, so I feel like some of you are going to be dealing with this double-edged sword, or finding again, refinement. Virgo is the energy of refinement. So you may be learning lessons when it comes to the theme of following through and the theme of sticking with plans. I feel like here's what it is. I feel like in some situations, or for some people, at some points in the year, you might find that you are blindly forging ahead in a direction that maybe at one point felt good, but it really probably doesn't right now. And maybe if you're being stubborn, you don't want to change that, or you just keep moving in that direction and you haven't really stopped to take a step back and reevaluate your direction. Alternatively, some of you may have the direction and know the direction that you want to go in, but you're either not making a plan, or your plan is not being followed through on. Therefore, you're not closing that gap between where you are and where you envision yourself being, which could be creating some level of frustration. And the source of a lot of this, I feel like, could be some level of doubt. Again, going back to this first card, all heroes experience doubt. They come face to face with it. So for some of you, the lesson may actually be in the way of continuing to move in the direction of the things that you believe in and not giving up. Maybe some of you are frustrated because you have given up too soon, whether that's you've physically and with everything given up, or just some aspect of you mentally has given up. There is a huge emphasis on what your expectations are, in the sense, like, if you expect failure, if a piece of you is deeply expecting to fail, you might notice, you might find, even if it's subconscious, especially if it's subconscious, if you have an expectation that you're going to fail or you're not going to do a great job, there's probably some piece of you that is holding you back from moving forward, that is holding you back from taking steps in the directions that will lead you where you want to go. Some of you may also be feeling really spread thin. Maybe it's chaotic. Maybe you're going in 80 directions at once. And again, you haven't made this clear-cut, concise goal of this is where I am and this is where I want to go. And these are the steps I'm going to take in order to get there. I'm getting a lot of this very like logistical, almost like Capricorn type energy. If you have Capricorn in your chart, I would recommend leaning into that maybe a little bit. Whatever the situation is, if you're not taking action in a direction that you feel like you should be going in, it is most likely because there is a piece of you, consciously or subconsciously, that believes it won't work out, you're gonna fail, you don't have what you need in order to succeed. There's some kind of limiting belief that I would really encourage you to spend some time looking at and spend some time getting familiar with, so that you can start combating those narratives and those beliefs in your mind when they come up, and those doubts when they come up in your mind. If you don't know the parable of two wolves, I also recommend that you take a deep dive into that and maybe listen to that story or read that story. Basic premise is there are two wolves that are starving, and they represent different things. One could be greed, one could be happiness. And these two wolves are fighting over something, and they're constantly fighting for the attention of your mind. So let's say there's two wolves in your mind. One of them is saying, we can do this, we've got this. The other wolf is saying, no, we can't, we suck. And the question is, well, which wolf is gonna win? And the one that wins is the one that you feed. So if you starve the wolf, the metaphorical wolf in your brain that's saying, I can't do this, I'm gonna fail, eventually it's not gonna have the fuel to keep going and to keep combating you. But if you keep feeding that belief system, if you keep saying, oh yeah, I can't do it, and you're feeding it, especially by taking action or not taking action that's in alignment with those belief systems, it's going to continue. So my encouragement is to stop that loop, stop that cycle by taking a different action that's in alignment with you believing in yourself. Even if not 100% of you does, a great question for you might be, if I fully believed in myself, what action would I take? And just utilizing that prompt, that question, as a guide for figuring out what you might want to make your action steps. Even if you don't fully believe in them, it's very important that you question those belief systems that might be standing in your way. And if you're feeling spread thin, ease up some things on your plate, take some time off, take a day off. You will thank yourself later, even if you might be sacrificing a little bit in the short term. If you need to take a little bit of time to create that clarity for yourself, my encouragement, Virgo, is to allow yourself to do that this year, so that you can keep moving forward strategically in a direction that feels aligned for you and feels like it's aligned with your soul path, rather than blindly forging ahead and going this way, then going that way, then going this way, then going that way, and not having a clear, concise plan for yourself and the direction you want to go. Hope this was helpful. Please leave a little thumbs up if it was. If you haven't already, make sure you check out your big three, so your sun, your moon, your rising, as well as your north node. Subscribe to the channel if you found this helpful. I do these readings every single year. And if you have questions on anything, please leave a comment below and let me know. It's a new day. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. I think that song's by Good Charlotte. I'm not sure, but it's been stuck in my head all fucking morning. We had to take a break last night. It was a lot of readings at once, and my brain caps out around 8:30. So we're gonna do this on this wonderful new day. My dear Libras, moving into the year of 2026, I have two cards that are symbolizing that there may be some changes that are happening for you. Some of you may experience these in really tumultuous ways. Some of you may experience these in really soft ways. There may be a variety of this for you throughout the year. My encouragement is, anytime you feel discouraged or challenged by these things, please come back to this reading for some reassurance. The cards that I pulled for you are A New Earth and the Tower. A New Earth is speaking directly to this vision that you may have or be holding onto that really is in service to you and really is in service to humanity. I feel like a lot of you, if you've been planting seeds for a longer term project, for me, I'm getting a lot with this that have to do with long-term related things. I did also pull this in reverse, so some of you, this may be more relating to yourself. For some of you, it could be a passion project. For some of you, it could be some kind of internal healing work, and you may be coming up on some potential challenges or moments in this upcoming year where you feel like this is not coming to fruition, or it's not going the way that I thought it would, or it's not turning out quite the way that I had planned, because I also pulled the Tower, which symbolizes upheaval, changes, shifting directions, and falling figures or falling structures, things kind of crumbling around you. What I want to say about the Tower is that these crumbling experiences are not inherently bad things. The purpose of the energy that these two cards are bringing, and a lot of the purpose of some of the challenges you may face in 2026, whether they feel like they're wonderful challenges or hard challenges, is because they are starting to dismantle anything that is untrue or anything that no longer serves your truth. So maybe you had a line of work or job, or you were working on a project that really served you for a very long time and you felt very connected to it. And maybe the last couple of years you were not feeling that same way. You're feeling like you may want to abandon it. Maybe you're not sure if it's the direction that you want to go with. And I feel like some of you, if you've been really tuned in and really tapped in these shifts may not be as drastic and they may not feel as abrasive because you've sort of been energetically tapping into that. If you have not been tapping into that, please do not fear. Just understand that if you do have shifts happen in your life, they're happening for good and they're happening to make space for something more beautiful to show up in your life. Even if at first you're like, how the hell, I do not see it. I'm not connecting the dots. With New Earth, I do feel like a lot of you are planting seeds or have already planted seeds, again, for long-term projects, things that really matter to you, things that are very, very close to your heart. There may be aspects of those dreams and that larger term vision that no longer serves the actual vision itself. So let's say on an energetic level, you're looking to create more abundance in your life. And you felt like, oh, this job is going to provide the abundance for me that I need in order to move forward. And perhaps that chapter has served you, but now you're in a position where maybe that job crumbles or that position falls away or whatever this thing is that you're holding on to give you the energetic sense of this greater vision, i.e. abundance, safety, whatever, that will fall away to reveal to you what is not actually true in that dynamic. If you're constantly relying on something external to quote unquote save you, then maybe those quote unquote savior figures are going to either disappear from your life or create enough distance so that you can really analyze those connections and say, okay, why is this in my life? And is this a source of beauty and truth for me? Or am I holding on to this for reasons that don't really heal me and don't really serve me in the long term? So again, these can manifest in a variety of different ways, but the way that you relate to these changes or potential changes is going to impact very, very heavily the way that you experience them as a whole. I do want to read something directly from the book with the New Earth card. Do not give up now, you're closer than you think. It can be hard to hold the frequency of a new age when it feels as if so much is crumbling and so many are losing faith. This is your sign that you are facing in the right direction. You have a great gift, being able to see potential of things before they exist. This card is all about seeing potentiality and seeing things before they have transpired before you. Again, if you're in this stage where something is shifting, something is falling out of your life, your practice, your encouragement for this year ahead is to be able to maintain your faith and hold on to your vision, your long-term vision, even if in the short term that's not there. Faith does not require proof in order for you to have it. The beauty of faith is that you should ideally hold faith before the proof comes. That's kind of the whole purpose of it. So I feel like a lot of you, dear Libras, are going to be cultivating faith in a variety of different ways. For some of you, this could look more spiritual or more religious. For some of you, this could be more tied to physical things, your health, your money, your finances. For some of you, this could take place within your relationships, whether that's with other people or within yourself. Cultivating this level of faith that I am okay and it is going to be okay regardless of externally what happens and what is going on around you. So anytime if you are feeling chaos or feeling like you don't know how to function, I would encourage you to come back to your center, acknowledge what are the deeper visions, what are the deeper goals that you have here, and realize that you are building something that maybe you can't actually see yet. You know, you've planted the seeds, they're in the ground. Perhaps they've already taken root, but they haven't started to blossom yet. They haven't started to bloom yet. So you're not seeing the fruits of your labors. And if that is the case, or if that resonates either now or at any point in this year, make sure you come back to this reading, then you're gonna have a lot of opportunities to start shifting the way you deal with these negative spaces, the way that you deal with these moments where there's sort of this like disconnect between what you want to happen and what you are currently seeing that's right directly in front of you. The Tower card is a really beautiful card because it is speaking to the notion that anything that is untrue is falling away. It is being either ripped away from you or slowly falling away from you, so that you do not have to focus all of your energy on things that are ultimately either going nowhere or don't actually serve the deeper, greater purpose. If you're operating at a shallow level, and that could look different for everyone, then you're going to see the repercussions of that and have a lot of opportunities to start shifting the way that you're dealing with things. The Tower can also signify a demolition of old patterns, a demolition of old ways of doing things. So maybe there is a way that you are doing things and have been doing things that is just not working for you. This could be, again, because I pulled a New Earth in the reverse, and a lot of that has to do with turning within and looking at yourself. I feel like some of you might be dismantling old thought patterns or old ways of thinking about things. Even this reading alone, if you if you come into this at the beginning of the year and you're like, oh shit, my whole life is going to crumble in front of me. And by the end of this year, you review it and you realize like, oh wow, there were so many opportunities for me to maintain my faith or my health or my wellness, and all of these challenges that presented themselves were just opportunities for me to grow and to let go of the ways that I've been operating, maybe scarcity mentality, that really don't serve me in the long term. I feel like you're gonna come to the end of this year feeling really successful and also very balanced. Libra is all about balance. So anytime that you're feeling this like pull in a direction that doesn't serve you, I would encourage you to stop and ask yourself, are there things that you're trying to control? Are there areas where you have a lot of fear of change, or areas where you have a lot of blocked energy or stagnant energy that's preventing you from embracing any small changes that might happen? Because these tiny little tweaks, these little shifting from here, maybe 1% in the long term, is taking you into a very different direction. And that different direction, while it may feel scary at first, I feel like the more you embrace these shifts and the more you decide to leap from the tower on your own accord, as opposed to falling off because something shocked you so much, you're gonna find a lot more personal power. And ultimately, that's probably gonna make you feel a lot freer and a lot more excited about any changes that may be ahead. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you check out your other big three, your sun, your moon, your rising, as well as your north node if you want a little bit more guidance in the way of accessing and opening up your own potential. I love you guys, and moving on to the next one. My dear Scorpios, the year of 2026 looks like it holds a lot of potential for you in the way of connecting with Mother Earth, connecting with nature, connecting with your primal self, with culture, and with tradition. The two cards that I pulled for you for the year ahead were Activated Earth as well as the Hierophant. I am going to start out with the Activated Earth card, move into tarot. This card speaks to the beauty in nature. It speaks to earth meridians, which, if you are not familiar with this or with the concept of meridians, in Chinese medicine, meridians are the channels through which energy flows in your body. If you tap into a certain point that is on a meridian, it will affect everything that is within that channel. And within the earth, it is said, are areas that have a more highly concentrated type of energy, and those types of energy will influence different people in different ways. If you are not familiar with astrocartography, A, highly recommend that you look into it if it's something that piques your interest, and B, if you want a reading, feel free to reach out to me. Astrocartography basically looks at how different areas of the world may present energies to us that we will respond or react to differently. So, for example, you may go to India and have a certain type of experience there, and I may go and have a completely different type of experience, because the way that I'm relating to the energy of the earth and of that place is going to be very different from the way you relate to it, because we have different experiences and we are different people. It's kind of like if you walk into a room and you meet a variety of humans, and some of them bring out certain sides of you and others bring out other sides. It doesn't mean that any single of those sides of you is less true or less honest. It just means different places, different people, different experiences will activate different energies within you. So the concept of activated earth is speaking to these areas that have a higher concentration of deep energies. Maybe they have an abundance of spiritual energy, or they are considered to be sacred places or sacred spaces. This is something that doesn't necessarily have to be established by the world around. This could be, for example, on a micro level, areas in your hometown that you really resonate with, or specific locations that really speak to you in a way that touches your heart or get some kind of creative juices flowing for you. There's something in the way of being connected to the land and connected to the experiences that it offers to you, and allowing yourself to really lean into that. If at any point in the year ahead you notice that you are feeling stressed, you're feeling frazzled, you're feeling confused, you don't know what to do, you are maybe feeling out of alignment, my encouragement would be to step into nature and to step out into the natural world and really connect with the earth. For some of you, this may take the form of travel. You may be feeling called to travel to sacred places or travel to spaces that hold a large draw for you. Maybe you've always wanted to go somewhere and you've just been putting this trip off, and now you're finally hitting a point where you're going, no, you know what, I think I want to go. And if you have that ping and it is strong throughout this year, my encouragement would be to listen to that. If you can't physically travel, you can't physically go experience another culture, no harm, no foul, my encouragement would be to quote unquote travel in the ways that you can. This can be done cerebrally. You can listen to music, you can cook the food, you can talk to people who are from that area. The World Wide Web is a really beautiful place. You can hang pictures from that area, you can purchase clothing that is made in that area. There are ways to connect with the earth and with a space without physically going to visit it. So if that is not a possible opportunity for you in this year, or if it doesn't feel like it's something that you're willing or ready to do yet, just know that that doesn't mean you can't connect with it. It just means you might be encouraged to outsource other possible ways of connecting with those same energies. But if you have the opportunity and you have the pings, go for it. Because this card is about Earth, it is also encouraging you to tend to your own land, to tend to the spaces that you are around. So even if travel is not in the cards for you, or if that doesn't really feel like it's something that's resonant for you, making sure that you take time to get outside and really take care of the world that surrounds you. If you don't have a large backyard or a backyard at all, maybe you live in an apartment, if you have plants, spend extra time caring for those plants. Learn about how to properly care for them. Learn if they need humidity. Learn if they need to be misted or watered in certain ways, or if they need fertilizer, or if they need to be repotted, or if you can propagate them. Spend time really learning how to best take care of the natural world, whatever that means. This can also apply to animals. For some of you, I feel like this might actually come out in the way of food and the way that you relate to food. Again, relating to your natural world in very healthy ways. Paying attention to where your produce comes from, where your meat comes from, how is it being produced, are your foods processed? Taking the extra step and the extra time to really connect yourself to these experiences, I feel like is going to pay dividends, even if in the short term you're like, this is taking a lot of my time and a lot of my energy and a lot of my bandwidth. I feel like you're going to learn things that are really going to influence you in beautiful and positive ways in this year ahead if you make sure to do this. This is going to really benefit you in a positive way if you allow yourself the time and the space to tend to these things. The more that you tend to your garden, the more that you spend time allowing the world, the natural environment to basically thrive and be in its power, the more personal power you're probably going to find, because there is some kind of reciprocal energy that's happening there. You take care of your plants, they take care of you. Yes, it may not be like the most direct thing. If you're eating cows that are fed a bunch of shit and being injected with hormones and they don't have good lives and they're not treated well, the energy that you were taking in from that is going to reflect that, even if it is on a small micro level, and it's not going to be the bane of your existence if you do that once, because it's not. I feel like a lot of you are going to find personal power in paying attention to those small nuanced details. One final thing I want to read from the book with this card, because I just think it's very beautifully stated. As you connect with the earth and honor its keepers, the land opens up more fully to hold you. The fruits provide more nourishment and the guardians watch over you. So there is a reciprocal energy with this. You're not doing it just so you can receive, but do know that when you tend to these things, you do receive something back. And generally, in my experience, you receive something tenfold. Which brings me into the next card that I pulled for you, my dear Scorpios, which is the Hierophant. The Hierophant symbolizes establishments and tradition. This can look a multitude of different ways, but there is going to be a lot of value for you in tapping into this concept of structures. These structures don't necessarily have to be things that are created by other people. I feel like for a lot of you, you might be drawn to that in the year ahead. You might actually crave that. You might find yourself in situations where you're saying, I really would like a little bit of mentorship. I would like to speak to someone who has more experience with this. I would like to learn firsthand from somebody. Maybe you want to hire a coach or a mentor, or start working in getting monastery for some people, or moving into a different field of work. Again, doesn't have to be spiritual or religious. These can also look like taking a new class, starting a new venture. But there is a huge emphasis with the Hierophant on basically being in the seat of the learner and allowing others to teach you. There is a lot of value in seeking wisdom through tradition, seeking wisdom through elders, through keepers of knowledge. Again, the activated earth, I feel like, is kind of encouraging you to seek knowledge through the earth being a keeper of knowledge. And then the Hierophant is encouraging you to seek knowledge through teachers. Now, for some people, this could actually be, if you want to combine these two cards, maybe your teachers or your guides, this is going to feel very esoteric, but some of your guides may not necessarily be humans or in human form. Maybe you want to spend some time studying animals and learning from the animal kingdom. Bees are a phenomenal creature that have, holy shit, taught so much to us about life and teamwork and whatnot. So whatever it is that resonates with you. And I feel like throughout the year that may shift into different forms, but when you feel those callings, when you feel those pings to reach out and or be supported and to learn from something or someone else, there is a large encouragement for you to do that. Because the Hierophant also emphasizes tradition and structure, you may feel like you want to join a church or join a spiritual group or join some kind of professional or official establishment, and that is encouraged. This card also encourages you to utilize the values of loyalty, conventionality, moral codes, allowing those to, in some respect, be a teacher for you. They don't have to dictate every single thing that you do, but I feel like Scorpios, you are experiencing a level of a need for some kind of structure and or some kind of tradition. If none of this feels resonant to you, or you are like, I do not want to be seeking outside support, another way that this might manifest for you, or another thing that might be really helpful in especially micro ways, is for you to create traditions and to create structure for yourself. You are, of course, always open to having your own free will. You can do this however you want to. I do stand by the notion that having some kind of structure or a place that you can come to lean into your practices, or to lean into your education, or to lean into these growth mechanisms will be really helpful for you. And sometimes the guidance of another is useful. Sometimes, however, you just need to put yourself in positions where you have some kind of a ritual, you have some kind of routine, you have some kind of tradition. Again, tradition doesn't necessarily have to be what everyone else is doing, but there is a lot of value for you here in the way of repetition and in the way of perpetuating something or bringing something forward. Yes, you can add your own flair, you can add your own spin to it, but the more that you study what others have done and study what cultures are around you and study the earth and study what things really do resonate with you, you might get ideas as to what feels true for you, and also ideas as to what doesn't. You might find that this entire year is an exploration of you trying different churches or synagogues or monasteries or different spiritual teachings, different guides, different diets, different whatever, and learning that some of those things do work for you and some of those things just really don't. So you have the ability, you have the free will to create a system that works optimally for you personally. And that's not necessarily going to have to look any specific way. It doesn't have to look like what everyone else is doing, but I would encourage you to, at the very least, pay attention to those things and to open your mind to maybe following in some kind of ritual or some kind of practice, just to see if it does work for you, because you probably won't know unless you try it or expose yourself to it and open yourself to it. Of course, because this is speaking to the concept of values, make sure that anything you're doing is in alignment with your values. If it is not, don't sell your soul, you know. But there is a reason why certain cultures, certain religions have been inherited and passed down year after year, century after century, tribe after tribe. And these traditions that are passed down are there for a reason. Some of them are to help you connect with your faith. Some are there to give you a sense of hope. Some are there to help teach you moral lessons or to give you an idea of what values are acceptable and not acceptable, what things are humane and not humane. I do feel like nature is a very gentle guide and a very honest guide. So if you're ever in doubt, this will be a great place to return to and make sure you're learning from the natural world. And also, per what I said, if you need to seek out some kind of guidance from other people and you're feeling like you want a little bit of wisdom that maybe could be passed down from you, I would encourage you to reach out and ask those around you. A lot of this card to me is speaking to this concept of looking to elders. It's not looking to just everyone around you. It's not looking to the people that are quote unquote eye level with you or have the same experiences with you. I feel like a lot of this is emphasizing connecting with people who are potentially in different stages of life than you, especially stages of life that are far more advanced than yours, and allowing their wisdom and their earned life wisdom to be something that you can also glean and learn from. So that wraps us up, my dear Scorpios. Make sure if you haven't already checked out your other signs, your big three, your sun, your moon, your rising, as well as your north node, you do that for extra guidance. And please save this video so that you can come back to it if at any point you need a little bit of reassurance or hope, inspiration, faith, or something to lean on in the year ahead. All right, moving into Sagittarius. My dear Sagittarius, you are on a mission this year. 2026 feels like it's a year that holds a lot of potential for you to start moving the needle in terms of humanity or in terms of a larger goal or a personal vocation that you feel on a deep level, on a soul level, on a spiritual level maybe, that you are here to do. The cards that I pulled for you are very Sagittarian, especially this first one. I did pull big picture thinking for you from my Oracle card deck. And then I also pulled from my little kitty tarot deck, the Seven of Wands. I am going to start out with tarot actually today and then move into the Oracle for this one. So with the Seven of Wands, this card comes up anytime there is a level of tenacity that is either required or needed or present. You might be experiencing throughout this year a lot of opportunities for you to lean into your own sense of perseverance. There is a little bit of an emphasis on defending your position, especially if you are facing opposition or defending something that you stand for. So I would definitely be prepared for some energies that feel like they're different than yours. This is not necessarily a bad thing. This doesn't mean there's going to be fights or conflict or crazy disagreements or anything, but I will encourage you to make space for the notion that other people are going to think differently, and that is okay. That is not a flaw on their part, and it's also not a flaw on your part if you feel differently than they do in different situations. This card is encouraging you to have a little bit of discernment when it comes to conflict or disagreements or these differences in opinion. Again, not everyone is going to think like you, not everyone's going to do everything just the way that you do, and that's totally fine. I would recommend, and the cards would recommend, that in the year ahead, you pay attention to how much energy some of these quote-unquote battles are taking. Some of them are very much worth fighting for. I feel like you're gonna know. You're gonna know, like, this is something that is worth my energy. I am going to stand for this. This card, again, is speaking to the importance in holding your ground. However, holding your ground doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have conflict about it. Sometimes agreeing to disagree may be the best thing that you can do. So I would encourage you to be mindful of your resources and your personal energy. I feel like some of you might feel like you have to fight for things on principle because everybody else, it matters to everyone else. If you sit down with yourself and your own values and you really honestly honor those, and it doesn't align with what everyone else is telling you to do, or it doesn't align with what the status quo is, then there is a huge encouragement for you to acknowledge what your values are in this situation and to be willing to stand for them and to stand up for yourself and to stand up for those things that you do truly believe in. There's going to be, again, a lot of discernment here, a lot of opportunities for you to get clear on what does matter. If there's something that you just can't let go of, whether it's mentally or in your day-to-day life, and it keeps popping up. If there's something that's persevering in your life, it's probably persevering because it wants you to look at it. And when you look at it, I would take whatever information you glean from it as being very important and something worth your attention. This card is also representative of courageousness and assertion and competition to some degree and authenticity. So yes, you may find that there are certain situations in the year ahead where you feel this kind of like butting heads energy, but the purpose of all of that is it is showing you the areas where you are designed to be a little bit more assertive, where maybe you are designed to be a little bit more headstrong, especially if you feel like you've been kind of sitting back and kind of staying in the back row or the back corner and not really, like if you've been very conflict avoidant, or if conflict avoidance is a thing that you've really struggled with, you have so many opportunities to start moving through those challenges and maybe those reasons why you stay silent, or whatever blockages that are coming up that may cause you to kind of shrink down or to not stand up for the things that you believe in. If you find yourself in positions where you are standing up for those things and you are speaking your mind in a way that, again, of course, aligns with your values, then you're likely going to come to the end of this year feeling very successful and very much like you have conquered something, even if that something is internal. For some of you, this may have nothing to do with the world around you. This may not at all be related to conflict with other people. You may have a very peaceful external life. It may be something that you experience on a much more internal level, though I do feel like the external reflects the internal. So if it's happening internally, you might be seeing it around you. Regardless, whether or not you are experiencing these things in your physical 3D reality, I would really encourage you to also take stock of what areas are you experiencing conflict within yourself. If you haven't done any kind of internal family systems work or parts work, this may be a really good year for you to do that and for you to start making peace between the sides of you that are combating each other or fighting each other. And also a good time for you to start figuring out what aspects of yourself or your mind do you want to be nourishing, do you want to be putting your energy into. For one of the other signs, I did bring up the tale of two wolves. I will bring it up again now. The message of that parable is that whatever beast you feed within your mind, within your life, that's the one that's going to grow stronger. Let's say there's a piece of your brain that's saying, I can't do it, I don't have what it takes, I don't have enough. If you're feeding that aspect of yourself, then that's going to win. And so in order for you to have a little bit more tenacity, a little bit more perseverance, when those wolves come up, when those beasts come up that are saying those kinds of things, you now have the opportunity to choose to think differently or to choose a different belief system. Which brings me into the next card that I pulled for you, which is big picture thinking. If you are not super familiar with astrology, I will say that big picture thinking is the epitome of Sagittarius energy. Sagittarius is all about exploration, seeing things from different sides, seeing everything from a different angle, accepting that life has a lot of different paths, a lot of different ideologies, and no one is right or wrong. So there is a huge encouragement in the way of exploration, especially when it comes to your thoughts and your visions. So again, you may find that there is this same theme of like conflict, or it has to be this way, or it has to be that way. When we think about agreeing to disagree is really a beautiful way to kind of encapsulate Sagittarius energy, which is that the whole world exists and there's this huge broad spectrum, and why should we all be funneled into this one exact way of thinking and this one exact way of doing things? Big picture thinking is all about being a visionary and having ideas that are larger than these single isolated incidences. And I know that it probably sounds a bit like I'm contradicting myself right now, because I kind of am, and that is the beauty of, again, duality in life. You are being encouraged to figure out what you want to stand for and to stand for it. And also, in order to figure out what you want to stand for, it is important that you have a level of openness to other ideas, other thoughts, and that you maintain a certain vision in your mind, or you have a certain vision in your mind of where you want to go with that. Some other messages with this card, it is speaking a lot to this very almost entrepreneurial or inventive energy. You're being asked to have enough courage to pave a new path. And the book says, and I love this, so I want to highlight this specifically, it takes great courage to pave a new path, to trust a vision before it's a reality. And I feel like the emphasis on trusting that vision is going to be really, really, really important for you. This sounds really cheesy and really corny, but we are at kind of a pivotal point in human history, if you will, and we can take it this way or we can take it that way. And the actions that we take right now and the intentions that we show up with and the directions that we move in will really impact the future of our lives and our children's lives and future generations' lives. And a lot of what is being called for in this reading, not only from you, but a couple of other signs as well, is to be a more visionary thinker. Think outside the box. Don't necessarily just follow the status quo. Yes, tradition is valuable. Yes, there are things that are important in it. And also, it is important to maybe take those things, recycle them, repurpose them, have a vision, and be able to stick with it. Again, perseverance. Stick with that vision, even if you don't see it, even if it hasn't fully come to fruition. Faith does not require proof. That's kind of the joy and the beauty of faith itself. And I know I said this for another sign, so if you also had that card, then that's a huge message for you this year, and you're gonna have an abundance of opportunities to learn and relearn that lesson. So Sagittarians, it's time to step up and be a leader, figure out what you wanna fight for, start taking actionable steps in that direction, and start fighting for it. You don't have to be combative. It doesn't have to be an aggressive kind of a fight, but you do need to take a stand for what matters for you and to be honest with that and to allow yourself to hold on to that vision, because that's going to inspire other people to do the same. Sagittarians are trailblazers. They're not afraid to explore. They're not afraid to go out there and experience life. And that gives you a really beautiful capacity to bring information forward and to pass it down to the generations beneath you, because you have taken the time to explore. You have taken the time to go out there and look around, and you are not the kind of person, most likely, who just stays in their tiny little zone, in their tiny little cubicle all the time and never thinks to branch out or to veer out. That's the quintessential piece of Sagittarius. They can see something from a more zoomed out lens, and that is a huge gift. And so your encouragement in terms of leadership is to utilize that to make decisions and have good discernment as to what you want to carry out, what you want to perpetuate, and to really stick to that. So thank you, my dear Sagittarians. Thank you for whatever service you are going to provide to us and our Earth in the year ahead. I love you guys and I appreciate you for being here. Make sure you check out your other signs, subscribe, leave a comment, thumbs up, or do nothing, whatever you want to do. But I really do appreciate you guys being here, and I will move on into Capricorns now. All right, my beautiful Capricorns. I will start by saying I freaking love the message that came up for the year of 2026 for you. I am a Capricorn sun, so I also resonate with this, and this is just one of the so beautiful. And I say this word sparingly, I literally got misty-eyed when I pulled these cards because they're so beautiful. So we'll try not to cry for this, but we'll see what happens. So the two cards that I pulled for you, dear Capricorns, I pulled the Star Brothers card as well as the Strength card from my tarot deck. I am feeling like I want to start out with Star Brothers and then move into Strength. There are a lot of parallels between these two cards. There are a lot of overlapping themes, which means that the message that's coming through is very fucking strong. So the main things to keep in mind with the Star Brothers card throughout the year of 2026, especially if you feel like you hit points where you're feeling challenged or confused, you don't know where to turn, don't know what to do, want extra perspective, extra guidance, come back to this reading for reassurance that you are meant in this year ahead to stay open to receiving greater levels of support, allow yourself to receive those levels of support, and also to allow yourself to soften through life's ups and downs, and to open your heart. Open your heart to the support that's coming in. Open your heart to the people that are going to be there for you. Open your heart to the abundance of opportunities that offer beauty and safety and joy and fear and every other human emotion of the spectrum, good, bad, ugly, everything. It's safe to open up because you are divinely supported in doing so. The support is going to come from an abundance of different areas. I feel like a lot of you maybe are used to experiencing support like almost, I want to say unilaterally, or in one, you know, maybe you have a very supportive family and they are like your rock, which is beautiful and I love that for you and don't destroy that. But maybe you've put all of your energy into this one specific arena in your life, and so you're drawing support from one channel, but you have it available to you in so many other options. And I feel like there's almost, I'm seeing like this kaleidoscope of potential, or this kaleidoscope of areas where you're going to have the opportunity to bring in support. Like you have a team that's there for you. The card says on it right here, loyalty, safety, trust. These are some of the themes that you're going to be looking at, and you're going to be finding these themes in the people that surround you, in the guides that are here for you, in the people that you love that love you as well. There's a protection here. There's a divine protection for you, which is such a beautiful message. And if at any point you're not feeling that, this reading is a reassurance that it is there. You may need to adjust your perspective a little bit, maybe need to open up, or again, opening your heart, open up and talk to somebody, allow yourself to receive the support. You're not going to receive other people if you have walls between you and them. And so there's a huge encouragement for you to start gently bringing down those walls a little bit so you can experience the beauty of what is here for you. The Star Brothers is the brotherhood, it's the clan, it's the people that have got your back when shit gets hard, and you're being called to lean into those and accept that that is a gift that you have earned and you deserve. And also, the more that you allow yourself to receive it, the more you also give to those people that are trying to give to you. I feel like some of you may have experienced things in the last few years in your lifetime. Maybe you experience things throughout the year that cause you to question trust and to question whether or not it is safe to trust others. And this card is a really beautiful reassurance that it is. And through maybe ancestral patterning or current life traumas or past life karma, whatever impressions you have that have made you mistrustful, you have a lot of opportunities to kind of release those blocks or release those blockages, and to learn that you don't need to go at life alone. Star Brothers is this beautiful joint collective energy that really emphasizes the beauty in being a tribe and working with others. I do want to read a couple of things directly from the book before I move into the tarot card, because I think that they're so beautifully stated. The Star Brothers want you to have a new experience of life on Earth. They want you to feel deeply secure and safe, even if you're going through a difficult time. They want you to hand your fears over to them. They're guiding you to stay open to receiving a greater level of support than you can ever imagine, both in this world and beyond. They want you to learn to soften through life's ups and downs and to learn to open your heart, especially when it most wants to harden. So at any time, okay, wait. If at any time in the upcoming year, you are feeling this temptation to shut yourself off, to shut yourself down, if you are listening to this and it's halfway through the year and you're like, shit, I'm feeling the things, this is a reminder not to do that. It is, yes, important to have discernment. You don't need to let everybody in all the time. Have your discernment, be wise about it. And also, there's no need for you to have walls to the entire world, because there are people that deserve to be there. There are people that have earned your loyalty, that have earned your trust, that have earned the ability to be close. And it is very important for you and your soul's evolution, if you will, in this year to allow yourself to trust that, and to allow yourself to trust the situations that you've cultivated, the people and the relationships that you have cultivated in your life. Which brings me into the next card that I pulled from my tarot deck, which is the Strength card. You will see little kitty is having a yawn. He's got a collar with an infinity sign on it, and he is stepping on a rodent that he has presumably killed. The Strength card in all tarot is a representation of inexhaustible strength and inexhaustible stamina. It speaks to this notion that there is an infinite amount of power, and it is a very divine power. It is an inner power. It is not a power that is extrapolated by pulling from the outside world. The strength and power that you have access to this year is really dramatic, and it is without end, which is phenomenal because some of you are potentially going to need it. Not that you're going to need a lot of strength to get through the year, but I do feel like you're in a position where you can really shift the course of your life by A, accepting the benevolence of support that is around you, and B, having the courage to be open with who you are and to be open with your heart. There is power in courage, there is power in fortitude, there's power in compassion, and I feel like all of these things are on the table for you in this year ahead. This card comes up with an energy that feels like almost like you're up for anything. You could do anything. Like their abundance is coming through in so many ways. There's abundance of connections that are here for you, an abundance of resources that are here for you. The infinity sign on his collar is showing that even if he just had a long battle and he's maybe a little bit tired from catching this mouse and doing all this play and hunting and everything, there's still an infinite amount of strength and power that this kitty has available to him. And that is also available to you. So if at any point you feel like you're having questions of, can I do this? Do I have the capacity? Do I have the resources? The answer is yes. The answer is infinitely yes. Capricorn, this is amazing because you are a hard worker. Capricorn is a hard working sign. We get that shit done. We know how to keep moving through things, and you're gonna see a lot of the beauty in this aspect of your chart in this year ahead, and you have a lot of opportunities to embrace this aspect of you, which is admirable. And in combination with a Star Brother sign, I feel like there's a lot of opportunities for leadership for you in the year ahead, in leading others and showing others how to have trust, how to cultivate trust, how to cultivate faith. One of the things I love about the Strength card in tarot, in the traditional tarot decks, there is an image of a woman taming a lion, and she's doing it gently. And you have this beautiful ability to tame a lion with love and through love, not force. So there may be opportunities where I feel like this year you may feel this temptation to force your way through, to boulder your way through. And both of these cards are really speaking to this capacity to keep your heart in what you do and to keep your heart in everything that you do. Through life's ups, through life's downs, through the easy, through the hard, that this inner power and this courage that, I'm getting choked up now, that lies within you is bringing you to a place where you can access this depth of love. And this is an unending, infinite source. You have so much capacity to keep pulling from this deep place of love, and this will continue to be a beautiful fuel for you in the year ahead, regardless of what it throws you. Finally, I do feel like both of these cards are speaking to the power that you have when you allow yourself to soften. If you have not done any energetic work around the feminine, whether or not you are male or female, whatever you identify as. We all carry masculine and feminine energy traits. And Capricorn tends to be a more masculine sign. It is ruled by Saturn, which is the father figure. There's a lot of masculine energy here. And I feel like there's an encouragement for you to bring some balance to that aspect of your character, which is a beautiful aspect and we don't want to throw it away. And also, there is a softness, there is a beautiful power in softness, there's a strength in softness. And if you have been hitting the wall and just going and going and going and going and really harnessing that masculine energy, which you have a lot of because you have unlimited amounts of strength, I feel like some of you may be pushing through or like throwing all your energy again into this masculine yang type energy where you have the ability to bring forward the same amount of power and actually a more deep amount of power by also opening yourself up to your softness. This is not an either or thing. This is a both thing. You're being asked to bring forward your courage, to bring forward your strength, to bring forward your power. I'm getting a lot of like tribal warrior type energy. And this requires you, if you want that abundance of strength, if you want that never ending flow, that surplus of energy and resource, it's going to come from that softer side of you, that heart, that all Capricorns, we have a very deep heart and sometimes we've got a big shell around it. And I'm encouraging you to start accessing those softer points and allowing them to live and allowing them to coexist with the strength and the power that you also carry. So there's an abundance of really beautiful, strong, authentic power that you have access to in the year ahead, my dear Capricorns. I love and appreciate you guys so much for being here. Please make sure that if you haven't already, you check out your other signs, your sun, your moon, your rising, as well as your north node if you want additional guidance. And save this reading to come back to if at any point you are experiencing blockages, frustration, challenges, or just want reassurance in the year ahead. I'm here for you, and that's why this reading is here. All right, I love you, and moving on into Aquarius. Dear Aquarius, there is a wonderful opportunity for you in this upcoming year, 2026, to start zooming the fuck out and to start caring about the things that really do matter, and also to look beyond the little cuts or the initial wounds or the little challenges or the little traumas. Like, we're gonna be doing some deep work, and in going deeper, we're actually looking out more and we are expanding ourselves. Aquarians, I pulled for you two different cards. I pulled for you the perspective card. I also pulled for you in the reverse the Three of Swords. Now, if you are a tarot lover, you may know that the Three of Swords can sometimes be a challenging card to receive. It is not a bad card. It is simply identifying that you are likely in a place in this year where you're being asked to feel your feelings. Sometimes those feelings will be potentially painful. They may feel like a stab in the heart. If you notice, little kitty is biting onto a heart. He is teething onto it. This is not the end of the world. This is not the end of the cycle. This is not the end. That's all I gotta say. This is not the end. If you are and or do experiencing feelings that you're like, I don't want to deal with this, you're being encouraged to deal with it and to allow yourself to feel those feelings in order to heal them. Feeling is healing. If you just push it off and wait for later, it's going to keep coming back. And I do feel like for a lot of you, maybe this has nothing to do with what is happening or what is going to happen in this upcoming year. So if you're sitting here like, oh, I'm going to have a shitty year, don't panic, don't freak out. That's not what this is saying. What this is saying is that this year offers you an abundance of opportunities to start healing those wounds, those punctures. Some of these may be things that were created in your childhood. Some of these may be things that were created in past lives, or maybe ancestral trauma, if those are things that you subscribe to. Challenging feelings come up to be released. We don't cry to keep it inside. We cry because we need to let it out. And that process, while challenging, is very cathartic. And if you notice, after you have a big cry, usually you feel better because you've released the energy that was stuck, that is stagnating, that is inside of you. For some of you, I feel like this Swords card, this painful energy, might be something that's been stored for a very long time, which is why I think this is actually a really beautiful card to have pulled for the year of 2026. Because what it symbolizes to me is that you have so many opportunities to start releasing pain that you've been holding on to, whether that was self-inflicted. I feel like for a lot of you, especially because I pulled this in reverse, some of your pain might just be that you haven't been kind to yourself, and you might need to really shift that dynamic. And maybe some of you are realizing like how unkind to yourself you have been. And that's painful. It's painful to admit, like, I've not been nice to myself. I have been hard on myself. I have not been forgiving to myself. This can extend to the people around you. This can also be maybe relationships that you have with your family or your friends, husbands, wives, people you work with. Like, maybe there's something that feels almost, I'm getting the word, venerable. I don't know why. Maybe there's like a religious leader or a religious figure. Maybe you experienced, this is going to be really dark, but some kind of like cult experience, and there was like a head of like someone, or someone that you really respected or had on a pedestal did you wrong. I feel like there's something in the way of finding the strength to release any resentments that you're holding on to that just don't serve you anymore. It doesn't nullify the experience. It doesn't nullify your pain. It doesn't mean that anything that you went through was invalid or it didn't happen. And it's not to toxic positivity the shit out of it. It is to allow yourself to cut through the confusion and cut through the pain and really get to the root of what is going on there. If someone treated you in a way and it made you feel like you're a shitty person, then it's time to release the attachment to that specific incident and whatever happened in that incident, so you can get to what's beneath that, or get to the root of that, or get to what it brought up in you, which was a feeling of insignificance, insufficiency, whatever, and to start dealing with the core wound that you might have. And again, some of these core wounds may have been caused by other people. They may have happened when you were at a young age and you were vulnerable and you were relying on other people. It's part of the challenge is, you know, sometimes people don't treat us as great when we're young, or they do the best that they can do and we take it in a certain way. None of what you are meant to experience in this year comes down to blaming other people or pushing away your problems. You are being very much encouraged to, I don't want to say embrace these things, but to allow them to touch your heart and work with these things that are coming up, which brings me to the oracle card that I pulled, which is the card of perspective. Again, this card encourages you to zoom out and to acknowledge the fact that anything that's keeping you up at night, anything that is bothering you or you're cycling through, is likely a distraction, and you're being encouraged to go that one layer deeper and to heal what has actually been severed, what is actually, again, at the root of all of this. There's so much deep root healing. I feel like some of you, I'm getting root chakra. Some of you, it's literally a root chakra that needs some healing. The color red, great for that. For some of you, this requires maybe allowing yourself to look back on these old memories. Please, I would encourage you, if you want some help or assistance in going through these, hire a therapist, a coach, a mentor, a guide, join a program, do any kind of therapy, craniosacral, EMDR, whatever it is that might help you to physically release these experiences, because I feel like a lot of you might be experiencing the byproducts of these challenges, or like additional pain from holding on. It's almost as if holding on is more painful than the process of letting go. And these cards are an encouragement for you to allow yourself to release it, because I feel like a lot of you Aquarians are going to be in this state throughout this year where these could be small ways or in large. You're noticing that, like, holding on to these little things, maybe these little slights or these little challenges, or even if it has nothing to do with the world outside of you, even if it has everything to do with what you're telling yourself, maybe you're just being really hard on yourself. Maybe in your mind, you know, you wake up, you look in the mirror, and there's a dig that you put at yourself every day, like, oh, I look old, or oh, I look this, or oh, I look that. Your encouragement is to acknowledge all of those little pieces are distractions from what's deeper and what is beneath that, and to utilize those moments as invitations to go one layer deeper. This may bring up a lot of feelings, which is why I very much encourage you to have support. This guinea is screaming outside my window. I encourage you to open up to people that you believe are going to be able to be there for you in those times when you need some support. And also, above all, realize that these things are happening for you. They're not happening to you. You have so many opportunities to experience release and letting go so that the new can come in, and the new is very beautiful. But I do feel like in order to get there, you have to accept that you're going to have to feel things along the way. Aquarius is an energy that has a lot to do with the mind. Aquarians are all up in their head. Sometimes it can feel very, very cerebral. So this may feel a little bit challenging for you, but it's going to create more balance in your life because you're very used to these thoughts. And part of the encouragement with this is not to disown who you are. It is not to say, I don't deserve to think and I can't think, I can only feel, because they're both valuable. Aquarius is fantastic because it has this capacity to take a step outside of the group and to assess the needs of the collective. So sometimes the shadow side of this can be detachment. It can be being a little bit aloof and maybe not dealing with things or not looking at them because you're out here and you're trying to assess like, okay, does everyone have what they need and is everyone good? You're now in a position where you have the ability to come back in, and coming back in can also be coming into your own heart, coming into your own experience, owning that and working with it and allowing it to work for you, as opposed to constantly pushing it away, detaching from it, stonewalling yourself, or trying to ignore those deeper emotions. My dear Aquarians, you have everything that you need in order to do this. Anytime that you feel blocked, confused, afraid, challenged, or if you need reassurance, this reading is here for you. These cards are here for you to remind you that anything that you're feeling is okay. The path that you are walking is your own. You have your own choice, but what you're dealing with right now is here because it wants to support you and it wants to be here for you, not to ruin your life. You have everything that you need to heal what feels challenging and to move through this. So I believe in you. I love you. If you have questions, want further clarification, want some encouragement, feel free to shoot me a message, reach out, or leave a comment below. Make sure that you check out your other signs as well for some additional clarification or some additional messages, maybe something to add a little bit more context. I love you guys, and I will see you on the next one. Okay, my lovely Pisces, last but certainly not least, your encouragement for the entire year of 2026 is to step into change. Say yes to change. Say yes to growth. Say yes to moving with the tide and flowing with the tide, as opposed to resisting it. The two cards that I pulled for you for the year ahead were the card Jump In. I also pulled the Four of Swords in reverse. So in the reverse, she actually looks like this, which is kind of an odd one. I'm feeling like I want to start out with Oracle and then move into the tarot card for today. So main themes with the Jump In card: adventure, say yes to change. It feels like a lot of you are potentially in situations where you're going to be encouraged to find the calm in the chaos, to make peace with change, to make peace with stress. I feel like some of you are potentially starting new projects, moving into something different, a new chapter. This could be a largely new chapter. You could be moving house, changing relationship, getting out of a relationship, starting a new one. You could be switching your career, changing your career path up, maybe starting a family. That feels very exciting for some of you. Maybe starting a new creative project, maybe just spending more time working on your hobbies, gardening, whatever it may be. There is a very big encouragement for you to jump right in and to accept this invitation to do something differently. Two quotes from the book that I really, really love with this one. First one is swim with the tides, and the second one is that life bends for the courageous. Some of you might be in positions, again noted, there might be some changes here, that you are going to be responsible for taking action on. Whether it is actively starting this new thing or actively ending this old thing so this new thing can begin, there is a level of courage that is being required of you, and life will respond to that courage. I feel like for some of you, maybe the fear of not jumping in is feeling like you might not be caught or you might not be carried in that next chapter. It's a very gentle and beautiful reminder that when you have courage and you step up and you make certain changes, life will respond to that. Life responds to that kind of energy. Just because you decide to step up and change something doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go exactly as you planned. However, the energy of your life will respond to those changes that you make. There is a level of initiative that you're being asked to take. There is a level of assertiveness, and something that I love about this card is that it does remind us that you don't need to wait for permission. You don't need to ask for permission. Some of you, again, are being asked to just jump in and not stall until you feel ready. Pisces is a water sign. It is very much attuned to emotions, and something that you may find a little bit challenging or that you may be working through in the year ahead is learning how to accept those feelings, accept that they are there, and work with them, and also not to fully subscribe to them. So if you feel like, I don't feel ready, this card is a reminder that those feelings are valid and that's okay, but also you don't need to listen to every single fleeting feeling that you have. Feelings are just information, and they are not the end all be all truth of everything all the time. So please make sure that whatever path you are jumping onto, your feelings are informing you, but they're not dictating every single thing that you're doing. Because if you are waiting until you feel ready, my dear, I don't think that day is just gonna magically come. If you haven't already taken the leap and you've been meaning to, you need to just go ahead and do the thing, do the damn thing, and trust where it's going to take you. Again, life bends for the courageous, and courageous is what you're being called to be. You're already facing in the right direction. I feel like some of you, like, you know what steps you want to take. You know the path that you want to go down. You know the direction that you want to start heading in. And a lot of this year, 2026, is bringing you, Pisces, some opportunities to trust that and to trust taking that first step, that first jump, that first leap into the unknown. Because if you're already sitting there staring at it, looking at it, and you're like, I've been standing here for a long time and I don't know if I should jump. Analysis paralysis, my dear. The longer you stand there and wait, the more scary it's probably going to start feeling. Yes, prep work matters, getting yourself ready matters, having, and collecting correct information matters. And also, if you keep waiting to have the perfect amount of information or to have everything, all your ducks in a row, everything perfectly, it might end up stalling you. And that is going to be brought up in the tarot card as well. So I just want you to embrace the falling in love with life. Something I love in this card, it says, you didn't come to Earth to be passive, you came to Earth to truly live. Now take a good run up and leap. Why do I feel like I'm going to cry again? This is a beautiful freaking card. So there are certain areas where you're being asked to be more adventurous. Be open. You don't have to be closed off to every single possibility. You don't have to have all of these repetitions of, I don't know if I can do it, and blah, 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 and can I do it? And these thoughts, again, analysis paralysis. I'm going to keep coming back to that because I feel like that's going to be a big theme for you guys in this year ahead. Saying yes to adventure and yes to change is going to pay dividends for you in the year ahead. You choose what that looks like. It is up to you what way you want that to manifest. That is where we have free choice. We are not, completely at the whim of the cosmos and everything. But these opportunities are going to continually present themselves to you. So be willing to say yes to some of them. Say yes to some of those changes. Which brings me into the tarot card that I pulled, the Four of the Swords in reverse. This card speaks to a moment when we need to observe our relationship to rest and standing still. In the upright, this card is encouraging us to take a pause, have some rest, recalibrate, refocus, take that nice moment for ourselves. In the reverse, the Four of Swords is speaking to areas in our life where maybe we have abused that sense of rest. Maybe what we are experiencing and calling rest is actually fear, is actually paralysis, is actually not taking the step, not taking the leap, because we are experiencing fear of doing the thing. So I would encourage you at any point in this year that you may feel blocked or stuck or challenged or confused about what direction to take or what path to take, to observe your relationship to rest and ask yourself, am I standing still because I need to take a breather, or am I standing still because I'm afraid to take that next step? And those two energies are very, very different. And what we want to see is stepping away from that fear-based stagnation and moving more towards, again, taking the jump, taking the leap. That being said, because this card speaks to the balance of energy, I do also want to note that there are times when you may be kind of riding the cusp of burnout. Maybe you are coming out of a really big illness or time off of work, or you experience that. I feel like a lot of you, this is kind of more of a past energy that you're now coming out of, or you're in a position where you're now moving back into a state of action. Maybe you just had a baby and you're starting to get back into the swing of things. Maybe a business that you had crashed and burned and now you're back at square one. There's this kind of like things collapsed or things shifted, and now you're at a place where you can start taking action again. And the encouragement with this card throughout the year is to avoid the same pitfalls and avoid the same burnouts by allowing yourself the rest that you need, and also not resting so much that you get stuck in this cycle of stagnation. Balance is really, really important here. If you are not familiar with yin-yang dynamics or masculine-feminine dynamics, I highly recommend that you look into those and incorporate practices that will bring balance into your life. Because if you're going balls to the walls, trying new things every single day, all the time, never taking a breather, you're probably going to burn out. And also, if you're not doing anything, you might be struggling as well. a quote that I really love, and unfortunately I don't remember who said it. You're not tired because you're doing too much. You're tired because you're not doing enough of the things that bring you life. So if there are areas in your life where you're feeling like you just don't have that oomph and you don't have that drive, and you're like, I want to leave, but I'm so fucking tired and I can't, I would encourage you to find something that feels motivational for you to leap towards. Maybe you don't want to change all the big things. Maybe you don't want to quit your job. Maybe you don't want to start a new career. Maybe you don't want to move your house. Maybe you don't want to change your relationship. Find areas where you can start making small, actionable changes that you feel inspired by and maybe even a little bit motivated by. And that might start giving some inertia and giving some energy for you to sort of keep the ball rolling and to transfer that into other aspects or avenues of your life. And if you are feeling like you don't know what to do, it will be in your benefit to sit and ask yourself, am I paralyzed or am I exhausted? Because paralysis and exhaustion are not the same things, and they register very different energetically, although the symptoms may be very similar. If you are quote unquote paralyzed by fear, your life may take the form of someone who is potentially very burned out, very exhausted, very depressed. But fundamentally, again, the energies that are at the root of that are potentially very different. So yes, stillness can mean recovery. It can also mean fear. I would encourage you to explore your relationship with that throughout this year. And I also want to provide encouragement for those of you that maybe have been feeling like you've been stretched too thin, or you have been overworked, or you genuinely are burned out, that this card comes with a message that recovery is on its way to you. Maybe it's slow, but it is coming, and it is something that you are moving towards, which is really beautiful. So this rest and recovery is not something that's going to evade you forever, and it's not something that necessarily has to be elusive. It is there and it exists for you, and it exists for you to do with it what is necessary, which is to recharge you so that you can, again, step back into action, step back into the workforce, or back into your passion, or back into your project, or back into whatever it is that you want to start trudging forward with. Because once you have that time to sit back and reflect and do the recharge thing, you now have the energy to start moving forward. And if you don't have that energy yet, then reflect on what are the ways that you can start harnessing that energy and creating that, even if, again, it's in very small ways. And finally, if at any point in this year you are feeling just absolutely burned out, or on the contrary, if you're feeling so restless, you're like you can't stop moving, you can't stop going, you're go, 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 these are both signs that you may need to pause and reflect on some things, reflect on your life. Ask yourself some questions. Per the jump-in card, maybe you just need a little bit more spice in your life. Maybe you need a little bit more adventure in your life. One of the prompts with this card, which I would encourage you to meditate on anytime in this year that you feel like you need a little bit of a boost, is to ask yourself, how can I be more adventurous? And how am I potentially being called to jump right on in and take a leap of faith, take a leap into something that might feel scary, might feel like the unknown. Ultimately, these places are not meant to completely destabilize you. They are meant to bring you some new energy and to bring you maybe a little bit more zest for life. And I do feel like some of you are really needing this zest. Some of you are really needing this little bit of a reset. And some of you, the reset is going to come in the way of slowing down and allowing yourself to take it easy. Just make sure that you contemplate why you may or may not be taking action on something, so that you're aware of your relationship to the dynamics of fear and excitement. One final thing that I want to note in honor Keith from Keith's Cacao, he was a phenomenal mentor. He often said that fear is just excitement you're not ready for. So if you are in stages of your life where you're experiencing a lot of fear over something, allow yourself to explore that relationship, explore that dynamic, and ask yourself, is there something in here that might actually be excitement that I just don't feel quite ready for yet? And again, you don't have to be 100% ready to take that leap, but if you want to feel a little bit more ready, I would just encourage you to sit with that prompt and see if you can alchemize that sensation of fear to one of excitement. Even if the fear is still there and still residual, even if you don't feel 100% ready yet, 80% is a pretty good benchmark to go for. And once you take that leap, once you take that big step, that's when the inertia is going to come, and that's going to help give you that energy to keep moving forward in this direction. So thank you so much. If you haven't already checked out your other signs, your sun, your moon, your rising, as well as your north node, please make sure that you do that. If this video was helpful, I would invite you to let me know either with a little thumbs up or a comment below. And finally, I hope that you save this reading and come back to it at any point in the year if you need a little bit of extra support and love. This reading is always here for you, and I do these readings every single year. So make sure that you subscribe if you want to accept the support that's available to you. And so that wraps up our 2026 reading. Thank you for your understanding of the costume changes, the lighting changes, the fact that this is getting out way later than I expected. But most importantly, thank you for sharing your most valuable resource, your time with me. And as always, if you have any questions on anything, please feel free to reach out, shoot me an email, drop a comment below, shoot me a message on Instagram. I love voice notes. If you need any additional support, please reach out. And finally, if you found this helpful and you think it might be helpful for someone else, please feel free to share it, give it a share, send the link to somebody. Everything is tagged below so they can check out their specific reading, and it may be different than yours. Even if it's the middle of the year, this resource is here and available, and I really appreciate you guys for being here. So thank you so much. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for witnessing the journey, and I will see you guys on the next one. Have a great day.